They got him, ladies and gentlemen. Ray Epps has finally been charged with one misdemeanor count of disorderly conduct in a restricted area. And they're saying he's basically taking a plea deal. I imagine he'll get a slap on the wrist. Maybe he won't even get any jail time. And, they did finally charge him. And now you're getting this narrative from the media as if this proves it. You see, he's being charged too. But all that's really happening is all the people who already thought he was a Fed now doubly think he was a Fed because he's getting a slap on the wrist. One misdemeanor charge, despite the fact he is on camera telling people to go in the Capitol. And he is there at the breaching of the front barricades. He told his nephew he orchestrated it. He even explained how they're at the barricades and a female cop gets knocked over and he goes, I don't want anyone to think I'm part of this, so I'm going to storm forward or something to that effect. Yeah, nobody's buying it, but it's an interesting story, so we'll talk about that. And then we got another weird story. A Democrat, I don't even know how to say this. Democrats gave an interview to the Washington Post, and one of them said Joe Biden's death is imminent due to his old age. And that's I have trouble even saying that. Whoa. Joe Biden now reportedly gave an interview where he says he fears his end may be soon as well. And he's not going to live long enough to see Hunter Biden's legal issues resolved. Hunter Biden was about to give take a plea deal. I mean, we're talking about relatively soon. It's a crazy thing to say. And then, of course, Russell Brand is still in the news because in the most absurd and shocking story I guess we have today, YouTube demonetized Russell Brand for no reason. None. He's not done anything wrong. He's been accused by some people. He didn't do anything on YouTube. Doesn't matter, apparently. They're unpersoning him. But before we get started, my friends, we're going to talk about all that. Head over to timcast.com, click the menu bar, and go to Timcast IRL X Miami. And we have a big announcement. There's good news and there's bad news. Get your tickets to the Timcast Miami event. The bad news is, I believe right now we're just sorting this stuff out. Donald Trump Jr. is not going to be able to make it. He's a very, very busy man. However, James O'Keefe is going to be able to make it. He's going to be joining us on stage. And I'll also add that while we have James confirmed, we have a lot more people who are going to be there as well. So just more names to come. Sorry to everybody who was really looking forward to seeing Donald Trump Jr. Look, when these things come up, they come up, and I can't blame them. I appreciate that they were going to be that he was going to come. But James O'Keefe is going to be here, and I think it's going to be a really great show. So for those that are still interested in coming down, hanging out with everybody, get your tickets now at timcast.com. And of course, we're going to have the 3 p.m. meet and greet for our timcast.com elite members. Check that out. And also, in the menu bar, click Join Us, become a member, because we're going to have a members-only uncensored show tonight. And as members, you get to call in and submit questions to us, and our guests actually talk to us by joining our Discord server. So when you sign up, you join the Discord server. You can be in groups full of like-minded individuals. They do pre-shows, they do after-shows, and this is all just the community. And then once you're in the Discord, you can actually submit questions. So definitely do that. Support our work directly at timcast.com. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show right now with all your friends, because we got a good show tonight. Joining us to talk about this and so much more is the legendary Kevin Sorbo.
It's good to be here.
It's great to have
you.
I've
been watching you, man. This is a good show. I love it. I was honored to be invited, so this is cool.
It's an honor to have you. We were, of course, all of us here, we're just talking about all the work you've done, especially some of the huge shows you've done before the show even started. And I feel kind of bad we didn't record it because you're talking about shooting schedules. And I mean, you've been in so much stuff most of us have seen. And everyone, of course, is just saying Hercules, Hercules, Hercules.
Thank you, Eddie Murphy, yes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Do you want to do a quick introduction?
Me? Yes. Hi, I'm Kevin Sorbo, and it's really cool to be here. I got a lot of good stuff coming on the pipeline as well. I got a new movie to talk about, a new book to talk about, all good stuff.
Lots of different stories about acting tonight. I hope I want to hear all.
We'll get into it. We'll get into
baseball. Inside baseball.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Hello, guys. If you see me here, Brett Dasovic. I am the host of Pop Culture Crisis right here on YouTube, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I'm Ian Crossland. You got the Test of Lionhood there behind you. That's your newest book.
I do. Brave Books. I'm following the steps of Bethany Hamilton and all this Kirk Cameron. A lot of people have done these books. It's kind of cool that I got my own. It just came out this month.
I'm going to ask you about it on the show.
All right, sounds good.
Into it. Carter Banks.
How's it going, everyone? I'm filling in for Serge, and I'm excited for tonight, so let's get into it.
Right on. Let's jump into this first big story from CBS News. Ray Epps, protester at center of January 6th far-right conspiracy, charged over Capitol riot. And you see, most people are only going to see the headline. And the goal of this charge, in my opinion, is just, it's obfuscation. it's, the average person's going to be like, what, that guy, he was criminally charged. Yeah, but come on. Here's the story. Ray Epps, a former Marine and Trump supporter who became the center of the January 6th conspiracy theory, has been charged in connection with the insurrection. I like to call it that. According to court documents filed by the Department of Justice, Epps is charged with disorderly or disruptive conduct on restricted grounds. He's expected to appear in court Wednesday for a plea agreement. So let's just point something out. The FBI said Ray Epps has never been an FBI source or an FBI employee. I always take issue with very specific answers that nobody asked, right? Because the appropriate answer to the question of, was Ray Epps involved with law enforcement, is Ray Epps has zero involvement or interaction with anyone in law enforcement. We don't know this guy. Let's just make it unequivocally clear. This guy has nothing to do with us or any other agency that we know of. Instead, it's like, he wasn't a source or an employee. Okay, was he an informant? Was he a contractor? Well, come on. Did he become an informant later on? I mean, look, I don't want to be too conspiratorial just because they didn't give a good enough statement or a clear enough statement. But the issue I see here is you've got people like Owen Schroyer, who's being sentenced he was sentenced to 60 days in prison. And the federal government cited his speech before, during, and after. His speech after the fact was cause for him to go to prison. But Ray Epps, on the day of, telling people to go to the Capitol, and the night before saying to go into the Capitol, doesn't matter at all in his sentencing. To be there at the front lines, tearing down the barricades. He wasn't the one who physically did it, but the people in front of him did. He whispered in the guy's ear, he tears it down, then they rush in, and they're like, one charge. Meanwhile, there's a journalist named Stephen Horn, I believe his name is, 4 charges, and he was just convicted and will now be sentenced to prison. So something doesn't add up. I don't know what it is. I'm not saying this guy is a fed or anything like that. I'm just saying something is weird about this story.
Do they come from, are there different prosecutors going after these people? Like, because these are all spread out over time, right? These convictions or these... I
mean, it's been 2.5 years.
Yeah.
So there are different prosecutors and different judges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So could that play a role in here? Is there something to do with leniency or such in sentencing for these things?
I really doubt it. I mean, look, you've got people who walked on the grass confused who were charged and sentenced to a month or 2. You've got I'm forgetting his name. John Strand, I think his name was. Am I getting his name wrong? Hopefully I'm not getting his name wrong.
Not sure.
3 years convicted. Yeah. He was there as a security guard working for Dr. Simone Gold. He wasn't there in any political capacity. He was just walking around as a security guard. And they gave him 3 years. Yet they're going to give this guy 1 charge?
Wait, didn't Tario get like 20
He wasn't even there.
Yeah, and he got like a bunch of years in prison?
Yeah.
This is what they do, though. I'm going to use the word a lot probably tonight, but hypocrisy is a rule of the day for these people. And you got so much stuff on this guy. Yeah. So much stuff on him. The video footage is undeniable. And yet, 1 charge, he's going to slap on the wrist, nothing will happen to him. It drives me crazy what's going on in our country right now.
I would have thought they would have arrested him and then made it, been like, we're charging him, we're giving him 20 years, and then like steal him out of prison in the night and send him to an island to live forever. Like, didn't they used to do that? They'd put people in witness protection or something if they used them for a purpose. But maybe they just feel like with internet, you can't hide people anymore. You can't track it. So let's just blatantly use this guy to incite. This is a guess, but if he's on the floor inciting and he didn't get the book thrown at him, there's something going on, and it just smells like some sort of red flag, like a false flag. Maybe
the conspiracy is, because here's my issue with conspiracy theories. Everybody just assumes they know what the outcome is, but you don't. So the first thing is people are like, okay, something doesn't make sense here. And then they say, okay, now I know for sure what the answer is. No. Here's a conspiracy theory for you. The feds intentionally undercharged the guy to make him the focal point of conspiracy theories so that people aren't actually looking at who may have really been there. There's a video from one journalist showing a guy breaking out a window, and then as soon as the guy realizes he's being filmed, immediately stops and then starts pushing someone else, accusing the other guy of breaking the window. Yeah. Like, you see, that one's more interesting to me. Ray Epps is on camera saying stupid things. If he was actually an informant or fed or some kind of plant or provocateur, he would not be on camera doing these things. And then you have other people who are on camera doing things who get scared the moment they realize they're being filmed and then stop.
Yeah.
That is more...
Those are the ones you got to watch.
But I mean, look, if someone is there either as a provocateur or an intentional rioter or maybe even insurrectionist, they're going to be, if they're smashing out a window, they're going to stop and then act like they weren't doing anything wrong because they don't want to get in trouble, right? Doesn't matter if you're a fed or not. I just think it's weird that Ray Epps would just stand there while people are filming him outright
and
saying these
constantly
things.
be. But what about the woman that got shot? That just sort of disappeared too. She was doing nothing.
Ashley
Ashley
Babbitt.
Babbitt.
Yeah, and she gets shot and killed. And the video footage of her, she wasn't doing anything, and nothing happened to the gentleman that shot her.
That's right. I think he had a promotion.
I think he probably did.
Yeah.
The argument
It's like the studio chiefs in Universal. They fail upwardly. But go ahead.
that she was
Always.
climbing over a barricade, so threatening their space.
She wasn't climbing over a barricade. She was looking through a window.
Through a window.
Yeah.
Yeah, she climbed up
She stood
towards
on
a hole.
She stood on the like framing of the window and then looked through the window and then
It was like
they put a bullet in her
a
neck.
broken window, so there's like a hole. They probably thought she was climbing through. I mean, I
She
don't want to
couldn't
make
climb through
excuses.
it. The window was not that big. Her face could barely be seen through it, and they put a bullet in her neck. There's no reason. The cop was panicked and freaked out. It's dangerous to have people like that holding weapons, but these
Yeah.
are the things that happen.
I didn't hear any defund the police calls after that one, surprisingly.
Dude, the Ray Epps thing is
No.
the most nuts. I mean, just beyond nuts thing. This guy's screaming for people to go to the Capitol to get rowdy. I don't know all the quotes, but some of the stuff you mentioned earlier.
He texted his nephew saying he orchestrated it.
What in the hell?
He's like, yep. And he even says in one of the videos, he's like, he doesn't want to say it because he'll get arrested, but he's going to say it anyway. It's like, okay. And then it took him 2.5 years to get one misdemeanor charge. You have people, you had that lady. I love referencing this. The feds stormed into her house in Alaska because she looked like a different lady. So there was a woman who was
that.
in the Capitol. They were like, hey, we think this is the person. So they break into this other lady's house.
Yeah.
But the guy who's on camera inciting everybody to do it, it's like, nah, no worries here, man.
How long ago was he charged? Like, or initially charged?
Ray Epps?
Like, yeah,
Today.
It was just today, right? So
Uh-huh.
is it possible that he's going to end up informing?
I think the potential, the reality here may be he's been an informant the whole time.
The whole time.
And maybe not for the FBI or something like that. It could be Capitol Police. Yeah. And so the FBI says he's never been a source or an employee. What does source mean? Does source include informant? It's an opinion statement, so it could or could not. Their quote's meaningless to me. But it could have been the Capitol Police. I wonder if it's possible because he used to be an oath keeper. If, originally he was on the website for like people of interest they were looking for and they took him off. I wonder if they found him right away. They found him right away. He's on camera everywhere saying this. They instantly were like, we got a clear picture of his face. Then they went to him and said, you are going to inform and provide testimony on all these people that bolster our cases, or you're going to go to prison forever. And he said, I'll do whatever you say.
Okay, I didn't know he was an oath keeper before. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But what about all these guys? I mean, a little segue, but still on the same track of what happened on January 6th. All these Antifa guys, the video footage of them changing into clothes, Trump clothes. I saw a lot of that footage. I don't know if that's real or not.
I've seen the footage too, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And these are the challenges, right? You've got the pipe bomb guy everybody found.
Yeah.
You've got the video of changing their clothes and putting on,
Yep.
like they're taking off hoodies and putting on
Yeah.
like Trump's looking clothes.
And there's no motivation for prosecutors to want to do anything about it because
right.
that's not the way that the political winds are blowing right now.
The political winds don't blow that way in general.
Ever.
Yeah.
No.
Well, so there you go. I don't know, man. This is only resulting in more people believing that there's a conspiracy theory here. But I wonder if you're going to actually believe that the intelligence agencies are capable of doing anything, you have to operate under the assumption that they're going to be a little bit smarter. It's not like a random guy just being like, I know, let's have our friend smash a window and then we can blame other people for it. And there's going to be a little bit more to it than that. In which case, the Ray Epps stuff is a very, very hefty distraction. Everybody's pointing the finger at this guy, and he's just, as far as we can see, a doofy Trump supporter who for some reason is not getting prosecuted. And so maybe in his mind, he's like, why is everyone coming after me? And if there really was an intelligence operation, you've got guys, like you mentioned, changing their clothes, and everyone's just like, Ray Epps, Ray Epps, Ray Epps.
Well, there was a lot of FBI guys apparently, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's
That were-
widely reported, especially with the Proud Boys, like dozens. I don't know what the exact number is, but FBI informants up the wazoo with the Proud Boys.
I love how they blame Trump. I mean, you saw him speaking. He's on camera saying, go peacefully if you're going to go down there. He didn't say anything about rioting. And yet he still gets blamed for it.
Doesn't matter because they just clip the
go
audio
after they go
anyways.
after everything for him. I mean, he's had 7 straight years of being attacked. It's pretty incredible to have that much hate centered on you for that long. It's incredible.
Yeah, dark days, man.
Yeah.
Because you look at this stuff going on. There's this guy, Stephen Horn, journalist, objectively a journalist. And I mean, like, I'm not saying objective journalist. I'm saying objectively, when you look at the facts, you're like, this is a journalist. And I guess they got him because when he went in the Capitol filming. and he chanted USA, USA, USA. Oh, now he's demonstrating. So they got him.
They got him on 4 charges: entering or remaining in the restricted area, disorderly, disruptive conduct in a restricted area, disorderly conduct in a Capitol building, parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building.
So to be fair, he was in the Capitol building, and so you might say those 2 charges related to being inside, Ray Epps is not going to get. But Ray Epps still only got 1 charge. He didn't even get charged with entering a restricted area, despite the fact he incited everyone to go do it in the first place.
It feels like that's the more serious charge, right? Would be the incitement of others to do so, because they seem to use that as their kind of barometer for where to charge, right? It's inciting an insurrection. So if he's actually saying that he orchestrated this stuff, they can't charge him. You know why? Because Trump's the one in their minds, or Trump's the one they need to have legally on the books as having orchestrated it. That's what I'm saying. Because like when they were talking about it initially, like you said, when they're ignoring what his actual words were, and they're saying that he incited, that's the language they kept using, right? He was inciting an insurrection.
This could be the reason why they don't charge him, and they're holding off on charging him, is because they know the evidence would show he not only admitted to orchestrating it in a text between a family member, but he's on camera inciting people, and they need Trump to have been the guy so they can get him off the ballot.
Yeah. They'll just end up in the same cell together. Him and Trump and this guy will just end up having to serve their terms together.
I don't know what they're going to do with Trump. You can't put him in prison, but they're not going to let him run. Like, they're not going to let him win. I don't know.
Do you think he ends up on the ballot?
Trump? Yeah. Well, what does that mean? What state? Where? Which districts?
Do you think he'll be
Trump
removed
will
from
be
enough?
removed from. I don't know about enough. Doesn't matter. Trump. I believe it is a high probability Trump is removed from the ballot somewhere.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, look at Arizona. It would not surprise me if come October of next year, Trump's name is just not on the ballot in Arizona, because we know they print with the Hobbs versus Lake election. The wrong ballot sizes were printed on the wrong paper, and it jammed up the machines. Yeah. So if they can do that and then go whoopsie daisy, and then nothing happens, there's no reconciliation, there's no accountability at all. Then, they'll take Trump's name off somewhere and just go, it was a mistake.
Have you had Carrie in your show?
Oh, yeah, several times.
She's awesome.
She's great.
She's great.
And she does have a bunch of victories right now, too. So I don't want to act like nothing's happening.
Yeah.
They recently ruled that the signature verification in Arizona was being done
it's
illegally.
unbelievably obvious. And then once we talked about this earlier. I was driving in here with your transportation guy. It was awesome. And we talked about the craziness of this mail-in voting, and neither side is fighting to get rid of it. I don't see anybody on the right getting rid of it.
Get rid of it. The Democrats are fighting for it.
The Democrats, I know, but no, they want to keep it.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. We got to get rid of it. The only way you're going to have an honest voting is you vote on the day of the election, and that's it.
Yep.
And you show your bloody ID. There's nothing racist about showing an ID. I mean, this whole thing is just. It's mind-boggling. You got so many people, tens of millions of people in this country, still let this go on. They let it go on. You see it right in front of your face, but they just want to vote for the same people just because they got a D by their name or something.
But
it's just weird.
It's because most people don't pay attention at all.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
they don't. They're sheep, and I keep saying we got to wake up the lions.
But this is why you were telling us before the show that they kicked you out of Hollywood because you're conservative.
Yeah.
But this is exactly why. I mean, you have the biggest show in the world. The last thing they need is someone as influential as you speaking to the regular people who aren't paying attention and telling them to pay attention, right?
Yeah.
That's dangerous.
What did you do? What did you say that people?
I think just the whole internet thing started in the mid '90s, right? You've got mail, and it just kind of grew from there. So I was starting to do my own thing, talking about this, talking about that. So, oh my gosh, he's a Christian and a conservative. So apparently that's a double leper in Hollywood. And they called me in and they said, we can't work with you anymore. And I laughed. I said, you guys are the ones screaming for tolerance. And they scream for freedom of speech. But we all know it's a one-way street with these guys. And once again, hypocrisy rules, not only Hollywood, but in Washington, D.C. So I formed SorboStudios.com, and I've been doing my own movies since. And because I do independent movies, other independent movie makers come to me as well. Not every movie I've done, because since I got booted in Hollywood, I've shot about 50 movies. But there's other indies that come to me and say, hey, we're with you. We stand with you. People used to stop me all the time about Hercules and Andromeda, my 2 series. 80% of the time now, it's God's Not Dead, Soul Surfer, What If, Let There Be Light. That's what people stop me for now. Please make more movies like that.
Yeah.
When this happened initially in Hollywood, where was the biggest amount of pressure coming from? Was it coming from studio heads? Was it coming from agents and managers? Or was it coming from other actors?
I didn't get details like that, but it got to a point that obviously they felt they'd have talked to me about it. So I'm thinking it was coming from studios and networks and stuff like that.
So they saw it as bad publicity for them.
Yeah, I think so.
Which is weird because like at that time, we're talking talking 12 years ago, this is still a country that would have had a general amount of pro-Christian values.
Yeah, my manager was great. I think she just felt the pressure and went along with the big agent. So it's unfortunate, and I kind of laughed at it. I said, "This is ridiculous." But for an industry that's these liberals need to look up the definition of the word liberal, because the whole thing about being a liberal is that everybody's point of view is okay. We're different. We embrace everybody. They don't. We have more anger, more hatred. All this stuff is just spreading more divisiveness, and that's the world we're living in right now.
This is what wokeness tends to be, right? Right now. They masquerade as opposing racism while supporting racial segregation. They say liberal when they're illiberal, and they oppose liberal policies and classical liberalism.
What's Antifa? They say they're against fascism. They're actually the fascists. But,
but here's the funny thing is they always love it. It is a fair assessment, in my opinion, if you look at Antifa through a historical context by today, by what they do today, and say they're fascist. Antifa starts in Germany as the militant wing of the Communist Party. And so they go, duh, we're not fascist. But now you take a look at how they behave. There were a group of people outside of a hospital protesting mask mandates. Antifa activists came and started beating them up. So it's like, okay, if you want to claim to be a communist or opposing fascism, but you beat people up to enforce government mandated corporate activities, you're a fascist. Yeah. That's exactly what they are.
I just don't understand with these mayors and these governors in these states let them get away with it. I don't get it
because they're in on it
at all. Yeah, well, they have to be.
I mean, you've had politicians say that they're Antifa.
Yeah.
You had in the Andy No
Biden
trial.
said it was an idea.
Yeah, Nadler. I think that was did Biden say it too? I know Nadler.
He said it in the debate with Trump.
Wow.
He said, "Oh, it's an idea." Oh, okay.
Because it's decentralized, therefore you can't pinpoint a leader.
Yeah, burn down people's businesses and attack people.
But
that's an idea.
You can pinpoint leaders. Yeah. They have active cells with brand names and brand websites, and the feds know, and the feds don't do anything. But hey, man, heaven forbid you stepped on the grass on January 6th, and then they're going to lock you up for 2 years.
Yeah, Biden's quote from that presidential debate in 2020 was, Antifa is an idea, not an organization. So I was going to agree that Antifa, it is an idea, but it's also an organization. But that's according to Biden, he just said it wasn't.
Well, that's why they like masks, because they cover their identity.
Yeah, they have chapters in merch stores. It's absolutely.
But the masks don't even matter. You can go to there's different chapters. And they will call themselves Brand Antifa, insert name. And you can go to their website and you can see the organizers.
What do they do for work?
Oh, a lot of these kids are rich.
Yeah.
You think so?
I know for a fact.
Wow.
Yeah, so especially during Occupy Wall Street, we didn't call them Antifa at the time. They were just called the Black Bloc Anarchists. And that was an unfair assessment. The anarchists got mad at us. They were like, those guys are not anarchists. Anarchists don't believe in violence. Anarchists, in the truest sense of left or right, believe in non-aggression. So the dudes wearing all black going and beating people are tankies. They're communists. And we're like, oh, okay, that's fair. But we didn't call them Antifa. Turns out a lot of these kids they're like Brooklynite trust fund kids.
Really?
They
hate
don't
their
have.
parents.
Yeah, they don't have to work. Yeah. How do you?
So they're angry because their parents made it in the capitalist system, and they become.
No. They're angry because. So it's an oversimplification that I believe is an emotional attack that conservatives will be like, oh, they resent, they got mommy or daddy issues. No, the reality is they've never dealt with hardship. So if you grow up in a world where you don't have to work because things are given to you, when you're older, you look around at people being hungry and you go, why aren't people giving them things like I was given things? The government should give them things.
Give them homes.
And this is why, I really, man, I see a lot of wealthy conservatives being like, my kid's never going to know the hardship I knew. And I'm like, okay, well, they're going to be a liberal then. Because they're going to
look at Murdoch's kids, right?
Look
what they're doing at Fox.
And you're going to send them to the same four-year colleges that will indoctrinate them in the same way. And
they start at kindergarten now, unfortunately. Yeah.
But if you're lucky enough to keep it off them until they go to college, they then go to college and they end up in the exact same place because you don't want them to face down any of the hardships.
Yeah. These trust fund kids, especially the wealthier ones, and not necessarily all millionaires or anything, but coming from upper middle class families, even so they didn't have to work because they lived with their parents. Their attitude is, we have to protect the oppressed.
It's weaponized guilt.
And so what happens is when they don't want to be the evil oppressor because they come from wealthy upbringing, they turn into a racial issue. They can then say, oh yeah, you Ian, you're also an oppressor just like me because you're white. And it's like, you could be a homeless white dude and they would be like, doesn't matter, we're all oppressors. And it's like, bro, your parents are millionaires. That homeless guy is a veteran who can't find work. Exactly. And you're claiming that he's got the
Yeah.
same level of power that you do because they're trying to cover up the fact that they're rich and they want more power. But ultimately, what are they angry about? When you grow up never having to work, your brain does not comprehend where food comes from. Your brain doesn't comprehend that someone has to do labor to make it. And so in their minds, it's just like, you take a look at schools. A lot of these kids, they go to school from kindergarten all the way till they're 22 to 26. And when they get out of college at 26 years old, they've never had a job and they've been told how to do everything. Normal humans have to figure things out.
Yeah.
But these kids are told what to do. They get out and they're like, okay, someone please tell me what to do. I have no idea what I'm doing.
They
can't survive.
they get their first job, and they find that the employers say that they can't figure things out on their own. They need to be given step-by-step instructions because they've never actually had to
they've never solved the problem.
They've never problem solved anything.
I've experienced this dozens of times in every company I've worked for. College graduates have a higher likelihood of being unable to solve a problem as opposed to high school graduates or dropouts.
And
Homeschoolers are much better.
That's true.
Did you homeschool?
We homeschooled. My wife's homeschool advocate. She's got a number of books on. She travels the country, and yeah, it makes a big difference. One of the blessings of COVID is that families woke up and saw, maybe, honey, we shouldn't use the public schools as a babysitting service.
Yes.
And they saw how crappy that the school system really is. 2 million more homes are now homeschooling, which is great.
It's like
and
when-
school choice is picking up. I know there's some pushback from some anti-woke personalities, but I think school choice, for the most part, is a good idea.
On its face, it looks cool that you could take a stipend every year instead of send them to where you have to send them. You get to pick where you want to send them.
Great competition.
Get it out of government's hands, but that will create the competition. Now, that should help a little bit. But public school system is busted and broken, and it's getting worse. And people don't seem to want to care, and parents want to keep using it as a babysitting service, which is too bad.
Well, you made a
what it
good
is.
point that people are waking up. COVID shocked so many people
Yeah.
talking about this.
Well, look what they did to these kids. You know, I mean, look what they did to businesses. It was nuts.
I was arguing with someone. I never get into political arguments online. It's like the last thing I do. I was arguing with someone saying that like there should be cameras in every classroom.
I've
right?
said the same thing
100 times, right?
Why can't there be?
And people are saying, especially pro teachers union, people saying that's not necessary. Why would that be necessary? I'm like, do you think cops should have to wear body cameras?
Yeah.
The cops didn't think that they should have to wear body cameras either.
Cameras everywhere. There's cameras in casinos.
Exactly.
There's cameras in elevators. Why can't they be in a school? What are they hiding that we can't watch as parents?
I mean, not even just that, but beyond just what they're hiding.
I'm on camera all the time.
The level of what they're teaching the kids, right? The parents have a right to know at what pace their classrooms are working, not just because they might be teaching them things that is inappropriate for their age, but also like, are the teachers keeping them up to date? Are the classrooms actually be handled well? And those are all questions, but they don't want to actually be held accountable for that.
Yeah, well, it was when the remote learning started that these teachers, there was a video where they were saying, we can't let parents find out what we're doing. Yeah. They know what they're doing is crooked, evil, and
Of
creepy.
course they do. They are evil. And right now, I just realized that the Apple's watching me.
The crazy thing is somebody was talking about how the iPhone does this. I don't know if this is true. Just a caveat here, because I haven't looked it up. But well, let me pause. I had a phone. It was I forgot what the phone was called. I think it was like the McLaren something. It was like a one phone, and it had a mechanical front-facing camera. In order to turn the front-facing camera on, it would slide up from the top of the phone.
Okay.
So one day, while browsing the web, it just opens up and then goes back down, and I'm like, why did this website just activate my front-facing camera and then deactivate my front-facing camera? Now, on most phones, you can't tell because the front-facing camera is just always there staring at you.
Yeah.
But various websites. So what someone was saying is that iPhones, for instance, when you're using their apps, will take a picture of your face to see your reaction, whether you're happy, sad, upset, what's your emotional state, because the AI can track your facial expressions. So when you're using apps, it's reading your face to see how you doing. Welcome to the brave world.
Yeah, I got buddies swears that all of our TV sets have cameras in them. They're watching us in our living rooms, in our bedrooms.
I don't know if they have cameras. They have microphones, and the microphones are all recording you 24/7. That's a fact. So, for instance, we have a TV downstairs that can be turned on. Yeah. So, first caveat: not all TVs, but all modern TVs that have voice command are recording you 24/7. Because here's how it works. And this is true of all your at-home devices, and to a certain degree, I believe many of your phones. If your electronic device has voice command, that means the microphone has to be listening to you all the time so that when you speak the command, it turns on.
Yeah.
Now, how does it translate your speech into a command? It records what you say, sends it to a private company, who then transcribes it to text, sends the text code back to the app. The app then runs the code, the speech, as the action. That means, and not every single device, but most devices that have voice activation do it this way. Some do it by requiring you to say a phrase three to five times, and then it just uses the wavelength to try and match them. We don't really do that anymore. Nowadays, they're just all on all the time, recording everything you say. And for your at-home device that does all the little deeds for you, there have been numerous stories where murders have taken place, and the police have gotten recordings of the murder from the company who owned the device. And then they said, they don't normally record. It was a fluke here.
What about the smart home? The guy who lived in the smart home who said something racist, and then it got locked out of his Amazon account or something like that. Do you remember that?
Something like that. I don't know enough.
Something along those lines. But I think what it is that eventually we became essentially surrounded by technology, and people just acquiesced.
This is worse than 1984.
Yes, people
It's
just
all of them
accepted,
combined.
and people have just accepted. Look, I cannot live without this technology anymore. The world doesn't allow it. I have to have these apps. I have to have this phone, I have to have this computer, and the technology is just too important to your daily life now. You can't opt out.
I will
not
say,
in any reasonable way.
What makes it better than 1984 is the internet, because in that book they were all top down. The news media would tell them over the TV. At least we can see that we're in something like 1984, and we're all able to talk about it.
And it may have been worse before the internet. Let's. We were talking about getting canceled from Hollywood. Let's talk about this story from NBC News. YouTube suspends Russell Brand from making money off his channel. The BBC also pulled some of the British star's shows from its streaming services following rape and sexual assault allegations against the comedian, which I might add are 10 to 20 years old. He's developed into a wellness and conspiracy influencer. This is it right here. This is the hammer in the nail, the final nail. You've got people, the media, saying all these people are conspiracy theorists for thinking there's an agenda against Russell Brand. Okay. You want to make the argument that the BBC, Channel 4, these networks were like, look, we don't know whatever it is you're involved with, Russell Brand, so we're going to take your shows down. It's our network. It's our channel. We're taking your shows down. It's like, okay, that's shady. Yeah. YouTube suspending monetization from Russell Brand's channel makes literally no sense. They didn't suspend his content. They didn't ban his channel. They just disabled ads from his channel, and his channel doesn't break any of the advertiser rules. So for what reason did YouTube take his money away? This just reeks, and this is another, this is it. This says outright, the likelihood here is that there is an agenda to cripple or deperson Russell Brand.
Oh, there's no question. And once again, we're now living in a world that is, we are guilty before being proven innocent, when it used to be the other way around. And people can say anything about anybody now. And they're going back, I heard 17 years on him right now. Then where was this person 17 years ago? Why are we waiting so long to hear what these people have to say? And why do they have any room to stand on when they wait that long? It's ridiculous.
And it's crazy to hear these stories, because it's like, what evidence does anybody have 20 years later? Yeah. I say.
Look what they did to Kavanaugh.
Right.
Trying to put him on the Supreme Court.
There's already the text messages, the wonky looking text message that's very clearly doctored from Russell Brand. That's the lines don't add up. The texts are in different shades. It's all sorts of not exactly, you don't buy it, right? You're did you look at that? Did you look at, okay, so there's a text message in which he apologizes to the woman, and if you look at it, it's missing timestamps. The text, half the text is in bold, half the text is not. It doesn't align on the left and the right. It's off angle. It doesn't say iMessage rather than text message. There's all sorts of problems with it, but it goes beyond that now, right? We're past, yesterday was about guilt or innocence, and in Me Too cases, you just don't know. Like, at the end of the day, you're gonna have to take your on what side do you fall, and then say, look, I'm never going to know the answer to this. It's going to be he said, she said. So what do you do? Now we have to ask the question. It's no longer about guilt or innocence. That will be decided in the court of public opinion. Now it's looking like the government is looking into possibly charging him. Who knows? Now it's about what's the fallout? Is the timing suspicious? The timing is absolutely suspicious. He has 6 million followers, 6 million subscribers on YouTube, and he speaks out a lot lot against, Tim, you mentioned Ukraine and war. He's also very much against big pharma. And in election cycles that are decided by a few 100,000 votes, a guy with 6 million subscribers who reaches a lot of people has a lot of pull. So when people say, like, it sounds conspiratorial that they would try to take this guy out, I say, no, it doesn't. Like, do I buy it? No, I don't know for sure. But I know that the government, especially our government, has done a lot worse for a lot less.
Well, so here's the issue with your text message thing. At this point, all of the media outlets that are covering the story have already created their own graphics of those texts. So you can't, I can't look, I can't find what you're talking
There's something about this text that someone pointed out, a lawyer, I think it was. And we can look at this text and read through this text as you want. The last thing she writes to him is that she prides herself, she used the wrong word, but on being safe and trying to make the right decisions. Obviously, this was a bad one. So she's acknowledging that she made the decision to do what she did, which a lawyer said that kind of indicates that it wasn't rape.
But it's beyond the language. It's about the fact that it looks doctored. If there's a
But even
YouTuber,
that, they're not even talking about anything specific.
Yeah.
For all we know, he could be talking about he had her. He was screaming and ranting about how he was going to eat 27 milkshakes, and then he had to apologize her because he was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I behaved that way." And she's like, "You freaked me out last night. That was
I
inappropriate."
think she got a rape kit, this girl, the next day, that same day.
she went to a rape crisis center. She had a kit done. She did not choose to press charges back then. And now they're saying that all of the women that have come forward, one actually is named. It escapes me off the top of my head. So out of 5 women, 1 actually gave her name. And they talk a lot in the segment. They're talking about the bravery of these women. I said the woman who gave her name is brave. The woman who actually comes forward and puts herself in the public eye is brave. The rest of this is like, look, we still live in a country that operates under the premise of innocence until proven guilty. But they don't need to do that anymore, especially with figures who go against the narrative that they want to push. They can kill you in the court of public opinion. They can.
Well, you got to wonder if they'd be doing this if he was on the other side politically with all 6 million followers.
Clearly not.
Okay,
Of course, no
question.
Mike Tyson. I know a lot of people like Mike Tyson. He has an actual rape conviction. He is not demonetized on YouTube. Colleen Ballinger, who is a kids YouTuber who has very, very serious grooming allegations against her, is not demonetized on YouTube. There's all sorts of YouTubers with very, very serious claims made against them that haven't had their channels demonetized, because that shouldn't get you demonetized. It has to be something that is done in a court of law, and it's third party. It's off app behavior anyways. Like, they don't really have a leg to stand on.
Luke pointed out Cardi B. Didn't she admit to raping guys?
No, she
drugging them?
drugged and robbed men who paid her for sex.
Oh, okay.
And then a lot of people have a hard time with that one because they're like, look, these guys are suckers. They set themselves up for that. I'm like, that doesn't matter. There was still something done against them. It's like, but the point
Cardi
is,
B was a hooker?
yes, she was a stripper and a
lady of the night.
Yes, a lady of the night. We'll say that. And there's just in an industry that loves to promote horrible behavior. Here's another thing. There's a show. This was a channel. Everything about Russell Brand is coming out on Channel 4 right now. There's a show called Naked Education on Channel 4 that runs right now, in which adults stand naked in front of children so that they can help destigmatize different body types. Am I supposed to buy that Channel 4, who runs that show, is the bastion of good consciousness? I don't think so. And it's insane. Nobody deserves to be lectured by these scumbags.
Well, this is like January 6th. It's all selective attacks. They just decide who they want to choose and when they want to choose. And if they're hurting us, we're going to take them down. When I say us, you're talking about government, you're talking about pharma companies, you're talking about whatever it may be that is going to be against the agenda of what the left wants.
And when you mention hypocrisy, it's exactly right. They don't care if they're hypocritical.
No.
That doesn't matter to them.
They're blatant about it.
There's no truth but power.
There's a great video, and I'm sure you've seen this. It's got to be like 3-4 years ago when Nancy Pelosi's up there in front of the press and say, we create a smear. And we tell you about it, the press, and then you take it and you make it real for us. Have you seen this video?
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
No.
It's like 4 years ago. It's up there. You can find it. She openly admits that they'll lie and let the press, you guys, our favorite left-wing press, you guys will go out there and make this person's life miserable.
It's the presumption of innocence.
Very
is so
sad.
key.
Yeah.
It's really a centerpiece of what allows us to exist as a society, is acknowledging that we're all innocent until we can somehow get a group of peers together to find proof otherwise. But that doesn't mean that corporations don't have immense power and control over your finances.
Well, and with cases like this, it plays on our imminent desire to protect other people, right? So it's very, very hard to come out and say to someone like, look, I can't take your word for it on something like this. And this was what happened. Look, there is also, it's to your point, Danny Masterson, who was just convicted, there was no benefit of the doubt given to him because he's part of the mainstream and he's a Scientologist, so he has that working against him. So people are saying, lock him up, throw away the key with something like that. Now we have Russell Brand, and you have to wonder, why is he being targeted? The Danny Masterson is different. This case. It's like they don't really seem to care who they go after in these cases, and people get caught in the middle. But I think for Brand, it's absolutely politically, at least now with I was on the fence yesterday with the YouTube demonetization, his show's getting canceled. Now all his stand-ups have been put on indefinite hold. His book deal has been put on indefinite hold. It feels extremely coordinated.
Agreed. I mean, seriously, it's what we're doing in this country right now, and they're going after people for no reason whatsoever. And it's a power trip, and it's a power game. This country's socialist now, and they want to keep working down that wrong road.
I think the funny thing about this is, when you look at the story and the allegations made against Russell Brand, it's like, okay, all right, let's say these accusations are correct, whatever. They didn't care at all back then because he was on their team.
True.
And now that he's anti-establishment, anti-war, it's like, what do we got? 20 years ago? Fire away.
Yeah. Well, look how long it took to get Harvey Weinstein, right?
Yeah, they protected him.
They all knew it. Oprah was protecting him. All kinds of people. They knew what was going on.
Seth MacFarlane made jokes about it, and I think it was Courtney Love too, right? Courtney Love said, "Don't."
She wasn't making jokes. She was actually.
I know. She was saying,
advice. She's like, "Don't go into a hotel room with Harvey Weinstein."
Right? They all knew.
Yeah.
They all knew. They did nothing. Why? Because it's beneficial for them.
Yeah.
A lot of these women knowingly went with him too, knowing that they were like, this is a path to power and fame.
There have been women that are coming out and saying like, I've had no bad experiences with Russell Brand. And then people are like, well, what does that matter? Because these accusations say he doesn't. Like, exactly. That does not hold any more weight than that. In this case, outside of the fact that you can't prove in a court of law that any of this happened, what is a general person supposed to do in this other than say, I don't know, maybe not.
Honestly, and YouTube should not. I think Russell Brand should sue Google for like breach of contract or something. People need to understand that the agreements that you have when you sign up for one of these services is a mutual contract. They tend to be, of course, obviously very favorable to the corporation because it's not like you get it redlined and send it back or anything like that. But Russell Brand's got a monetary deal with YouTube. He produces, they run ads, they split the money on a certain percentage.
Sure.
If YouTube is going to arbitrarily shut his channel down when he broke no rules, I think I'm not a lawyer, but I think that there is a claim here because YouTube is going to have to justify in court that for no reason at all, or actually, this is different. These contracts always say we can terminate your account for no reason. And there's questions in certain states or wherever in the United States whether or not that matters, especially when YouTube is now saying they suspended Russell Brand because of the allegations. Yeah. When they said offline behavior, now they've given a reason. Now Russell Brand can cite that reason as the potential violation of the contract.
And this has been going on beyond just YouTube. I mean, Patreon has been doing this to people for years, kicking them off the platform because of off-brand behavior and stuff like that. Off-platform behavior. But also, like, not just that, but like we had videos. So me, Andy Senior had videos that were all demonetized or at least limited ad revenue, just talking about it. And there was nothing in the language in any of our titles, nothing in any of our thumbnails that would have triggered anything like that. And that's a problem when they're clearly, if you look up anything to do with Russell Brand now on YouTube, now maybe it's different now, but as of 4 hours ago before we went live, I saw you covered it this morning, right? And that by the time we went live, your video had 88,000 views at that time, right? And the nearest one that I saw in the top 5 to 6 search results on YouTube was about 44,000. I think that was from the USA Today or something like that. But that was from yesterday. Now, every single one on the entire first page of search results were all what they call authoritative news sources. So you're only getting one side of the story anyways.
My video on the Russell Brand story got, as of this morning, it got 310,000 views.
I'm just talking about your demonetized one. I'm just talking about the one from this morning.
It's not demonetized.
No, I'm saying the one talking about his demonetization.
Oh, right.
That one had more views than the highest viewed of any of the mainstream news sources on that first page. Nowhere to be seen because they want to be able to control who sees what and who gets what information.
And for people who are listening, And I'll tell you, I think if YouTube had their way, this show would not exist. But the thing that YouTube does is suppression and removal from the algorithm. And the problem that they're facing is people choose to watch this show knowingly, which means for a lot of people who produce content, it's the front page recommendation where people will find the content. And that's true for a lot of the clips we produce from this show. And the clips we produce, viewership is lower than it used to be because they have been suppressing us. And we get a lot of people who message us saying like, the live show didn't appear today. I had to type it in and find it. And I'm like, that's right. But it's really hard. So they try to be careful because they don't want to do outright no reason bans of big content because it creates a PR storm and potential legal issues. So they go for the suppression route and hope that you eventually fade into obscurity and then cease to exist.
Sure. Well, that's what Facebook did to me.
Right. But if people watching this show share the URL and then through text messages, through X, through whatever, YouTube can remove it from the front page. Or sometimes people tell us they'll go to youtube.com/Timcast IRL and it doesn't even appear on the channel page.
Oh my gosh.
Like we'll have people who say it's not even on the live tab.
Do you ever contact them and say, what are you guys doing? Why is
They
it
say,
happening?
oops.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Oh, yeah.
Oopsie daisy.
Well, that's Hollywood creative accounting as well. You'll find their if you make a back end deal in Hollywood, that means you're pretty much going to take it in the back end because they're going to do everything they can not to pay you. Yeah. And they even coined the term creative accounting. Yeah. If you listen to anybody in these studios, they're going to say any show didn't make any money. They're just going to say it until you come after them.
Disney
movies are all bankrupt.
Oh, we didn't make any money, but we just keep making movies out of the goodness of our heart. But it's just amazing. But for YouTube to take him down and stop him from making money, to me, already says, oh, he's guilty. And this is what's going on right now. We're saying people are guilty before they do it, and Hollywood's going to keep doing that. I loved when Ricky Gervais got up. What is it? Was it the Golden Globes he hosted like 4 years in a row?
Yeah.
He even said to Hollywood, he goes, if the Taliban had a film fund, you'd be the first people to sign up.
Yep.
Because that's what they do.
He also, I guess it is fair to point out that he's not banned from YouTube. He's just demonetized, which is just to disincentivize him from using it. But hopefully Rumble will get something out of
demonetizing reduces your viewership in the algorithm. So this has long been the case. I don't know. I can't speak to what YouTube's algorithm is definitively. I don't know, but it has long been the case that many of the research scientists who use YouTube, and a lot of these, there are a lot of people who like try and track and figure out how YouTube works. If you are not running ads in your content, YouTube is less likely to show your content. Duh. Yeah. YouTube's going to be like, hey, if you don't put ads in your content, we don't make money from it. It costs us money, so we're not going to show it. Yeah. So if they demonetize brand, they're likely going to stop showing his videos in the recommended feed or whatever, but like they were for the most part anyway. And this is the issue with a potential agenda against Russell Brand. He's too famous. He's got, what does he have, 12 million followers or whatever on X? Yeah. He's got 6 million on YouTube, and he's anti-Ukraine war. A lot of people think that they're going after Russell Brand because of the COVID video where he talks about big pharma. And I'm like, look, man, you go after a big corporation, they smear you. You go after the government by saying no war in Ukraine, and the intelligence agencies has what was it Biden who said this? Who said this? Was it Schumer? They got 6 waves from Sunday to deal with people like you or something like that. Ugh.
Sounds like a Schumer thing.
Yeah, they're talking about Trump. So, I'd imagine this has more to do with the fact that a high-profile celebrity is generating massive opposition to their war effort in Ukraine. Oh.
And right in time for the election next year.
It's interesting, isn't it?
1 year out. Remember when they got rid of Alex Jones? Yeah. They got rid of Alex Jones and Paul Joseph Watson and Milo and Laura Loomer.
See, and that's the crazy thing. Like when we were talking about this earlier, we were getting everything ready. I'm like, who are the people that were banned? Like I remember, everybody remembers Alex Jones, and it's like this is the point. We couldn't remember him. I couldn't remember Paul Joseph Watson. Laura Loomer, didn't come to my mind because if they get you out of the algorithm, if they get you off the platforms, you're essentially non-existent now. People will forget that you exist because you're not being seen on a daily basis.
I wonder how much time we got left. Here at Timcast IRL, because I mean, come on, in 2020 we were getting like 1 million plus hits per night, and I think that probably made us one of the biggest podcasts in the world. I mean, this is during the election cycle specifically in these like 2 months. I think we had something like 180 million views per month, some ridiculous number. Now it's like 60. So like still really good. Really good. And as we're entering 2024, it's likely that we're going to get massive viewership again because we are for whatever reason, people like you guys listening, you like watching the show. I imagine that they're going to, look, they go with the biggest voices
Well,
first.
they're watching you. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Suddenly, a bunch of abused chickens are just going to come out of the woodwork, and we're going to have to deal with allegations in the company.
I don't know. I think it'll just be like what they do with Crowder, right? So there's nothing to come out against Crowder with, like, oh, he's getting divorced. They try and smear him over that stuff. And it's like, you can't, there's nothing really there than some personal issues. But so what they do is they give him a strike from a video 15 months ago. And then, oh, now you can't stream for a week. And they're just basically erasing his content very, very slowly. If they were to ban Crowder outright, they'd make a huge splash, which would cause PR problems.
Death by 1,000 cuts.
Exactly. Yeah. Slowly over time, they will seek to remove people.
I think that may be considered a human rights violation in the future for a corporation to strip you of your bank account access, or for a company to strip you of your monetization.
I think it should be considered a human rights violation right now, but I imagine that the direction we are going in this culture war is that they're going to keep doing it, and it won't be a violation.
That it could lead towards that, and then there's some sort of devolvement and dissolution of the human species, and that we have a third world war, and then from the ashes we create something where we're like, we cannot make that mistake again. It might go that route.
Yes.
Or it might go the route that we integrate a digital human rights bill.
Well, let's jump to this story from the Daily Mail. Biden, 80, is worried he might die before his son Hunter's legal issues are resolved, and think they will get worse, report claims. The first thing I want to add to this story is Hunter Biden was about to agree to a plea over these charges, which would resolve his legal issues right now. Okay, but to be fair, maybe what Joe is saying is that he knows there's more to come. Well, at any rate, we have this story from the Washington Post. Anxiety ripples through the Democratic Party over Biden. I'm gonna read it for you. Quote: He is in a period of his life. Wait, for dramatic effect, I'm gonna start over. He is in a period of his life where passing and death is imminent, said Sharon Sweda, the leader of the Democratic Party in Lorain County in Ohio, who said she often hears from voters worried about the president's potential frailty. We are all on a ticking clock. But when you're at his age or at Trump's age, that clock is ticking a little faster, and that's a concern for voters. Quite literally, Biden has expressed concern he's going to die at some point soon. And I mean, he's past the average life expectancy. Yeah. And a Democrat in Ohio outright said that his death is imminent, and this is based on his old age. I don't know, man. Does Biden make it to November? Does he drop out, or does he drop out?
Dude, as I'm watching and listening to this Destiny video I mentioned last night, where he's learning all about the Burisma stuff, Hunter leaving his laptop at that repair shop and forgetting about it, and then them seizing the laptop and then basically leaking the emails, and all these emails between Hunter Biden and Burisma come out. It exposes Joe Biden's role in basically, I don't know the exact words to use.
The first story was
corruption, dude.
Biden said, I've never talked to my son about business. I don't know his people and all that stuff. And now not only does he talk to his son about business, there are recordings of it. There's emails, there's texts. Hunter says, my dad takes money from me. Dude, you've got Devin Archer saying that this is what they were doing. They were signing the invites. Tony Bobulinski was saying that this is it. This is the Biden business.
It all came out, man, and they were not expecting that. And I think Biden, the stress is crushing his brain. Like, I remember, what's his name? Reagan, had Alzheimer's all of a sudden. Yeah. And they were like, was he hiding something? Was there secrets that he didn't want to tell about something? They were like, I don't remember. They were like, what? Do you remember what that was? There was something. They asked him if he did something, and he was like, I can't remember because of Alzheimer's, and that was convenient.
It was hitting his last couple of years as president. There's no question about that. But Joe's already there. Joe's been there since he won the presidency. I'm sure during the debates they just jacked him up with B12 just to get him on stage.
That's what I was thinking. I could not believe when I saw him actually come out talking.
Yeah.
The amount of this guy, the amount of corruption that, I don't know if it was Obama that put Biden as point man in Ukraine, and then Biden decided, I'm going to bribe the guy. Really? You're going to do some Class A felony to bribe this corrupt government?
It's on tape.
And then he admits to doing the bribe, the quid pro quo.
Does anybody really believe he has no idea about his son's business dealings? I mean, the ridiculousness of that alone. But there's a list of all these lies he said. Apparently he fought in World War I as well. But I mean, I don't know. It's just weird what he gets away with.
I know.
Joe Biden claimed, and you're not going to believe this lie, that he's been serving the United States government for 800 years. Yeah. Yeah, he was joking, but the thing that they do is Trump will say something that's obviously not true, or it's hyperbolic or a joke, and they'll say it was a lie instead.
Of course.
That's the game. But the question here is, if Democrats are worried about the life of Joe Biden and Joe Biden is worried about the life of Joe Biden, should we as the American people be concerned about the health of our president and whether or not he will remain our president over the short future?
Because everyone wants Kamala to take over. Because remember when she was running against the other 12 people during the Democrat primary, she was the first booted off. So 98% of Democrats didn't want her for president. Yep. But
that's crazy that they chose her.
It's
you know what I think.
Hey, they put a woman in the Supreme Court that can't define what a woman is.
That's crazy.
That's perfect.
One theory is that they wanted to run literally anyone. The article from I think it was the Atlantic is "Stay alive, Joe Biden. All we need is your corporeal form," and it's because people wanted to vote against Donald Trump. Yeah. So I'm wondering if their attitudes were like, let's pick the worst candidates imaginable, and then make the election only about Donald Trump. So it was an anti-election.
But the Burisma stuff, I don't think they knew. I think Hunter went in there and took that job on the board without Joe knowing, because Hunter is such a piece of trash.
No way.
He went over there with Devin Archer, and then the president of Ukraine, they were like, let's do a deal. And they're like, not interested. Go to Poland and do a deal with the president of Poland. So they go there. President of Poland's like, Devin, you should go back to Ukraine. Join the board of Burisma. Devin's like, that's a good idea. So they go back. Hunter and Devin go back to Ukraine. They go to Burisma, they go to Zlochevsky, and they're like, hey, I want to join the board. And he's like, interesting idea. Actually, we want you on the board, Hunter. Some guy that he said is stupider than his dog. Zlochevsky said that Hunter is stupider than his dog, but he put him on the board of his oil company, the board of directors, to use him for access to his dad.
You need to read Biden Inc., Politico Magazine, 2019. Biden knew what Hunter was doing.
He knew about the board. I wonder if he knew about the
everything
board deal.
that Hunter was doing. You read the story, Biden Inc. It talks about 2011 with the Biden family fortunes tracking alongside Joe Biden's career. The 10% for the big guy stuff goes way earlier than just 2014 in Burisma.
Yeah, but I wonder if Hunter stupidly took this job.
That makes no sense. Hunter's an idiot. It makes no sense that Joe Biden is enriching his family, and then all of a sudden one day, even though he's the point guy on Ukraine, his son randomly just goes there.
It was supposed to be Devin. Devin was supposed to be the board guy, and then they asked Hunter to do it, and Hunter's like, yeah, definitely, yeah, and they're like, what the hell? Now the vice president's son's on the board? That's not what we intended.
That's an excuse to protect the Bidens.
I'm just trying to think about it. It could just be that Joe orchestrated it. I don't know, but either way, Hunter's an idiot, and he did a stupid thing by joining that board.
When Joe Biden is put in charge of these key projects, and then his family starts getting enriched off of ancillary contracts related to these projects or government issues, I don't think it's a coincidence. To say that the Bidens were doing this for a long period of time, and the one time it was an accident was Burisma, makes no sense.
I wouldn't call it an accident. I just don't know.
Okay. The Occam's razor suggests that if the Bidens are peddling influence, well before 2014, the Burisma deal was part of that influence peddling. That's it. Biden was the point guy on Ukraine. He said he was. In the CFR meeting, he says, I get the tough assignments, so they send me to Ukraine. All of a sudden, Hunter Biden's on the board. Yeah, 10% for the big guy. He knows. You look at this. Biden Inc., Politico Magazine, talks about how his brother gets lucrative contracts as soon as Joe Biden's put in charge of Iraq. So then he gets put in charge of Ukraine. Hunter Biden appears on the board of this energy company. Surprise, surprise. Devin Archer testifies that when the prosecutor's investigating, Hunter Biden calls D.C. asking for help. Biden then flies out within the immediate, I think it was a few days.
2 weeks later.
2 weeks later.
He makes an email 2 days later, and then like 2 weeks after that, he flies out there.
2 weeks after that, he flies out and says, fire this prosecutor. That's not a coincidence. Biden didn't do this on accident. Hunter wasn't accidentally there. They know exactly what they're doing.
I think it's November 22nd of 2015 is when Biden flew out there.
I thought it was February.
I don't want to get the dates wrong here.
Yeah.
But I'll reference Destiny's video again at the end of the video. All the data's in it.
So they're not Hunter's legal issues. They're Biden's legal issues. They're Joe's legal issues.
I mean, it's both of them, man. If they did that, if they colluded together to sell us out to a corrupt Ukrainian oil company and set us up for World War III, like those guys are. I'll let the public and the courts decide.
No honest person who knows the story and the facts would tell you that Joe Biden is innocent, because there is no circumstance. I mean, we're talking like. The likelihood that all of these things happen as Joe Biden describes them, despite all of his lies so far on it, it's just you buy 10 lottery tickets, buy a lottery ticket for every different major lottery game and win all of them. Good luck.
I got the feeling that Obama was like, Joe, you're taking Ukraine, you're the point man. And Joe's like, I'm going to go fight those Soviets. I'm going out there. I'm going to protect us from the Soviets. And this whole thing's been like, yo, bro, the communists are in our country, Joe. They're not over there. The communists are gone from, they're not.
Bro, stop defending Joe Biden.
No, well, I'm trying to understand Joe Biden. I'm not defending the guy.
Very easily, the idea that Joe Biden was like, I'm going to go to Ukraine to do some good to help America is an insane view to have based on all the facts that we already have.
Yeah.
Look at this story. I mean, Politico reports this in 2019. Over his decades in office, middle-class Joe's family fortunes have closely tracked his political career. They have this really amazing video breaking it all down where they actually show, if it even loads, paradigm
investment
fraud
fund that you.
They actually, let me see if I can jump to one of these images. It shows a timeline, and this is Politico. Politico is not a right-wing publication. You guys should watch this. Actually, yeah, this works. I can. Oh, it's not letting me scroll. They talk about. Let me see if I can pull up. If talk about Iraq. During the Obama years, several months after James joined a construction firm as executive, the firm received a contract worth more than $1 billion to build houses in Iraq while Joe oversaw the U.S.-led occupation of that country. Along the way, James partnered with his nephew Hunter, the younger of Joe's two sons, a graduate of Georgetown, Yale, blah, 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 struggled with substance abuse, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They've been documenting this. This has long been documented. We know this is the case. The idea that well before Ukraine, we're talking Iraq, we're talking 2011, the idea that his brother's getting these lucrative contracts and that Joe is overseeing the government operations and his brother's now getting the corporate capitalist contracts, that when it came to Ukraine, it's the one time Joe Biden was like, I'm going to go do good to fight Soviets. No, he was like, what's my assignment, Barack? And Barack's like, take care of Ukraine. And he goes, all right, hey, Devin and Hunter, how can we make money off this? I'm in charge now. I'm the boss. There you go. That's the Biden family.
I believe that they did do that. Whether Joe instigated it or Hunter instigated it, I don't know. But I think, they say that evil people think they're doing good. I think that he's justifying, like he's actually fighting the communists somehow.
No way, dude.
Protecting us from the Soviets. Because he's old school, dude.
You're talking about the distinction between lawful good and, lawful evil and chaotic evil. Joe Biden is chaotic evil. He does, or maybe neutral evil. Or actually, no, that's completely wrong. You've got the people who lawful, man, how do you break this down? Lawful good could be evil. Following the law to be good, or I guess you'd call that lawful evil.
Zealous paladins, man, they're dangerous. Because
right.
they have to do good no matter what.
That's
and that
not Joe Biden.
Dangerous.
Joe Biden's the guy who's like, I'm doing good for my family, nothing else matters. So you can argue that he thinks he's doing good by enriching his family, because that's all this world is. I talked about this earlier today when I was doing a video on, it was the video on Russell Brand. You have these videos. There's a video that went viral of a hyenas eating like a wildebeest or something alive. They're disemboweling it as it struggles to get up. And they said the idea that the world is fair is incorrect. In fact, it is the most vicious of aggressors that succeed and are rewarded for their actions. Joe Biden probably has the predator mindset.
Yeah, he does.
And so his attitude is, you don't matter. All that matters is that he gets power from whatever he can.
And if you talk to him, he'd be like, geopolitics is a dirty game. Like, that's how he'd justify it.
Well, all I can say is this is very disappointing. Next thing you'll tell me Nancy Pelosi she can manipulate the stock market.
No,
right?
I don't think she has any ability to.
Oh, yes, she does.
Insider trading.
Do we have that Nancy Pelosi stock tracker that exists where it's
you want to get rich?
I was being sarcastic, by the way.
I know you were.
I mean, look, if you're looking for a financial advisor, I'd recommend reaching out to the financial advisors of members of Congress.
Yes.
Figure out which company Nancy Pelosi is using to handle her deals, and just say, hey, look, whatever Nancy does, that's what I'm doing.
That's one of the things that Russell Brand did.
Inconvenient truth. All you had to do when Al Gore came out, you should have invested in everything he put his money into with this whole climate change thing.
Did he make bank?
He made a lot of money.
Yeah. Fauci made a couple $1 million, I think.
A couple million.
Couple million.
On top of the book deal.
Yeah.
I think that Biden's brain has been destroyed by this Hunter's revealment, by the laptop getting revealed, because it basically implicates the entire Biden family, like Hunter and Joe, with all this criminal corruption working with Burisma. It's disgusting. I mean, and I think that his brain is so.
Did he get into Georgetown on his grades, or was it because of his name?
Of Hunter?
Yeah.
I don't know. They said he has a law degree. I have no idea what the hell's going on.
All right, you guys.
I was shocked by that.
All right, you guys. We know that Joe is corrupt, but we have to talk about this video right here. Have you guys seen this one? I need your help. Joe Biden was giving a speech to the UN General Assembly, and he said some words, I think, and I don't know what he said. I will play the video for you now.
Now, even as we evolve our institutions and drive creative new partnerships, let me be clear. Certain principles of our international system are sacrosanct.
Okay, I caught some of that, but
Wow.
well, let's try that again.
Play it again.
This first
I need
sentence.
another.
Now, even as we evolve our institutions,
There's your own institutions.
Something about our institutions.
True non Shabbat pressure. Our
Then he said, "Let me be clear," and you heard a couple of people laugh.
Wait, let's play it again.
Listen.
All right, here we go.
now, even as we evolve our institutions and drive creative new partnerships, let me be clear. Certain principles of our international
Somebody goes, ha! Wait, hold on.
There were two ha's.
I want to assume it was a cough, but we're going to play it.
Okay.
Here we go.
Now, even as we evolve our institutions and drive creative new partnerships, let me be clear. Certain principles are...
Might have been a cough.
But it also sounds like a
I think it's
like a, are you kidding me kind of laugh.
What was the, I literally, I'm deaf in one ear, so
Okay.
maybe I'm struggling really hard here, but like I have no idea what the first phrase
Hey,
was.
look, I deciphered Trinidad Shabbat pressure. Trinidad Shabbat pressure. And we think what he was saying was true international cooperation under pressure.
Okay.
He's also said Batacaf care and next nalrescent. I have no idea what those things are.
It sounds that's a new drug because they just take a bunch of letters and throw it together. Because every other commercial on TV, have you noticed,
Nexnalrescent?
is yet another drug
Actually, does sound like a drug.
Yeah, nexnalrescent sounds like a drug. But this one,
with only 47 side effects. Go ahead.
this one, listen.
Now, even as we evolve our institutions,
I
recognize-
recognize something. Is that what he's saying?
now, even as we evolve our institutions,
Are we as or is our institutions?
Wow.
I thought I heard a different
It's just-
language. in
But
there
look,
once, but
Mitch McConnell freezes.
But it's almost sad.
Here, listen.
No, it is. It's sad.
Mitch McConnell freezes. And then everyone's like, whoa, he's not doing anything. And it's major news because it's shocking. Biden figured it out. Mutter incoherently. And what happens is the journalists are too embarrassed to ask, did I misinterpret what he said?
Yeah.
So with, McConnell paralyzed or whatever, having a stroke or whatever it is he's having, everyone agrees something bad happened. But do you want to be the one person in the room to go, what did Biden just say? And they're going to go, did you not hear him? I'm not here to do your job for you.
also, people that don't speak English might.
But some will. But it's got to be of the 95% of liberal journalists. Don't you think some of these guys behind closed doors going,
Yes, of
how
course.
can we not say
The
something?
sign language interpreter's like,
Why doesn't one come out of that closet? It's
Well,
weird to me.
no. It's because what happens is these corporate journalists, after Biden gives the speech and they take notes, they walk into the back room, say, I have no idea what he just said. So you tell me, and then they look over at their CIA handler, who then says, "Here's the quote," and then they just type whatever they're told by the intel agencies. There you go. That's there you go.
what is like the sign language interpreter? They have sign language interpreters at that events. Were they just standing there like, what did he say?
No, they probably just went like this.
That's the universal
He went,
sign language.
Wow,
That's a good one.
that's crazy, man. This is the president of the United States.
Well, you're talking about McConnell too. I mean, just freezing
know.
there now. It's just.
And Feinstein.
It's
Oh my gosh!
we can
It's like a horror movie. I mean, it's really scary when they wheel her in. I mean, it's sad.
We can talk all about the cultural decay in this country and the potential for conflict or whatever's going on. But let's just be real. Like one of the biggest existential threats we're facing is our decrepit, aging political class and their inability to relinquish any power.
Well, the left more than anybody was screaming about these other old guys in office, and who do they put in office? I mean, they still voted for the guy.
Yeah, I mean,
apparently
Trump's 77 too. To be fair, he's old.
They're all
a lot more energy.
Yeah, I say this, like
lot more
Trump's
energy.
spry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trump, he has this video where he like hits a golf ball up and then catches it, and everyone's like,
Yeah.
he may be out of shape, but Biden's busted.
Did you see that picture of Joe Biden stretching? And the guy's like, it's Joe Biden stretching before running, and they're like, Trump couldn't do this. What's that guy's
Sisson
name?
posted
Harry.
that on
Yeah,
Twitter.
he's like, Trump couldn't do this.
Look,
Joe Biden does all sorts of stuff.
I've golfed with President Trump. I got to tell you, he hits a pretty good golf ball.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's an example of how solar age and genetic age are not the same. Like you can go around the sun 100 times, but still have a healthy, youthful body.
Hey,
Keep your
Bill Shatner's in his 90s, and talk about a guy with a lot of energy.
Let's play this Harry Sisson video. I have a lot of things to say about this guy.
Just out of curiosity for all the Trump supporters and Republicans, do you think that Donald Trump could do something like this? Stand up and stretch
What is he doing?
like President Biden was. This is President Biden out in Delaware recently exercising with First Lady Jill Biden, and I saw this photo. I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive for Joe Biden at 80 years old.
Yeah, you know what?
And then I thought, like,
That is impressive for Joe Biden. I agree.
anybody really think that Trump could match this? Like, does
Joe
anybody
Biden
think that
sitting?
Trump could stretch like this? And also, do these Trump supporters think that Trump could ride a bike? Like, do you, could
So
you guys
what?
imagine that? And this photo proves a
I
lot
guess.
to me. Not only is Joe Biden more mentally fit to be president, but he's also more physically fit to be
Oh my
president.
God.
You know, Republicans always want to talk about Biden's fitness for president. I'm
truly
happy to
is
have that
liberalism,
conversation
truly is a
because
sickness.
Donald
So
Trump
weird,
recently
dude.
said,
No, but this is the problem. They want you to say liberalism, but it's not liberalism. This is like I'm sorry, dude. Look, I'm an old man, I guess. I'm 37.
I wish I was your age.
But when I was growing up, the kid who acted like this was like the weirdo. I don't know what neighborhood he's from. Maybe in the suburbs. That's what it was all about. He would be made. He would be the nerd who get bullied. If that was the kind of the way. Dude, I'm just saying. You go to my where my high school was. I was only there for 2 months. But if a kid like that was standing around being like, Bill Clinton was really good, you guys. Can George W. Bush, Al Gore's gonna be? They'd be like, dude, he'd get picked on. Sorry.
You're a kid. Why do you care about? I know it's a horrible
Well,
thing.
he's like 20 something,
it's
isn't he?
like,
Oh, yeah.
Plus, he's being paid for it, right? This is his
Did
career.
he watch the whole bike video? Like, can't
When Joe Biden fell down,
right?
dude, Joe Biden fell up the stairs
Up
on
the
more than one
stairs on
occasion.
airplane on Air Force
well, how many
One.
videos do you got to show him walking around, not knowing where to go when he gets off a stage speaking? Biden just looks
or
lost.
shaking hands with the air.
Yeah.
But I'll just say this: it's weird that he's like, can Trump do this? And I'm like, probably not. Next question.
Yeah.
I don't understand what that has to do with anything I care about.
Yeah, man, the conflation between Biden and Trump. Anytime someone in a conversation about Biden brings up Donald Trump or vice versa, talking about Donald Trump and someone brings up Joe Biden, you got to not dismiss it, but realize that that's a moronic conflation of data. It has nothing to do with
I
the
know
other.
Hillary Clinton can do that.
Right, she collapsed.
This makes
I mean, look,
Vivek look even better now after that video of him playing tennis with Jake Paul.
Oh, right.
He's like actually in pretty good shape. So
look, I'm not voting for Trump or anybody based on whether or not they can stretch their what muscle is that? It's
hamstring.
It's a hamstring.
hamstring's in the back, isn't it? That's that is.
Quadricep, maybe?
That's-
Is it a
it's
quadricep?
quad.
I thought that's what it was. It could be. He might be doing a sartorial
Also like
stretch
his
because he's
MCL
pulling it to the
maybe?
side. You know, a sartorius. But I really don't care if Trump can do that. I really don't care if Trump can say Trina Nesh to pressure. All that matters to me is that Trump is the one guy with the highest probability of just firing random people and cutting down these bureaucracies.
Yeah.
For the longest time, Republicans have been like smaller government. Then they spend more money. They bring in more people. They don't reduce size of government. I'm just hoping that Donald Trump is a guy who goes in for revenge and just starts firing people. In which case, Harry, dude, I literally wouldn't care if Joe Biden did a round off back layout. I would be like, wow, that's really cool. Where do I vote for Trump? It's meaningless. Trump could be sitting in a wheelchair eating a box of Krispy Kremes with icing and custard all over his face. And I would still be like, he's going to be more likely to fire people. I mean, that's all I can say.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not happy with any of it.
Hey, he
I'll take it.
made us energy independent, right? And now, as soon as Biden got in office, he said, "No, we're going to cut off the oil supply here. Let's buy oil from countries that hate us." And gas goes to $7 a gallon.
Yeah, it's getting
But
crazy.
don't
out
pay
there.
attention to that.
But
Maybe
that's
it's not even
that's
him.
the point, because the mechanism of the American energy, or I should say the petrodollar, is we need to be dependent on others so that they don't stop being customers for us, right? The reason we give millions of dollars to gender studies programs in Pakistan is so that they have money to spend, so that they spend it. It's really that simple. You give the money to someone. Pakistan has a choice. They could trade in yuan or they can trade in dollars. So we go to them and say, hey, we're going to give you $12 million for gender studies. I don't care what you do with it. And then they're going to pad their bank accounts. They're going to steal that money.
Yeah.
But that ensures that they're going to be like, no, we trade in dollars. So when China comes to them and says, no, don't trade in dollars, trade in yuan, they're going to be like, we just got $12 million. If we keep trading in this, we're rich for free. Screw off. That's the name of the game. So when Joe Biden gets in, he has to shut down Donald Trump's Make America Great plans, because what Donald Trump is doing, he's bringing manufacturing back, he's securing our borders, he's making us energy independent so that we can have a good economy here. People like Joe Biden and the deep state establishment, whatever you want to call it, they want global control, they want war, they want conquest, they want unipolar global power. So they're going to say, no, we got to give more of American resources away to ensure that people are beholden to us.
Is this might seem like a stupid question. Is it one of those things where, like, if we're with the U.S. being so involved militarily in other countries, is part of our involvement helping other countries with our military, is part of that under the expectation that they will continue to trade in U.S. dollars?
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Ukraine, for instance, Biden threatened to withhold a $1.3 million loan from the IMF.
Billion?
1.3 billion.
Yeah.
That's what I meant to say. Thank you. What was happening is the IMF was going to loan it to the Ukrainian government, and the U.S. was going to, what do they call it, back it. Say, like, if they default, we'll pay it. And then Biden was like, we're not going to back it if you don't fire Viktor Shokin. And they were like, well, fuck off. Oh, sorry, pardon me. And then he was like, no, I'm serious. And so they fired Viktor Shokin.
It's crazy when I was watching that clip, because even my assessment of the Burisma scandal is nowhere near as in depth as that guy's assessment was when he was breaking it down.
Brilliant. Rob Noer is his name.
Mykola Zlochevsky's funds were frozen under this corruption investigation. And the government passed some provision that unfroze them, and Shokin immediately rushed in to get his assets frozen again because they were going after him. Joe Biden comes in, says, fire the prosecutor. They didn't fire him outright. He ended up he was forced to resign somewhat later on. I think it was a few months later. And then the new guy who comes in that Biden's like, and he's solid. New guy clears Zlochevsky of all wrongdoing. Assets are unfrozen. Zlochevsky returns to Ukraine to begin his work once again. Donald Trump gets elected, starts investigating what Joe Biden did. Zlochevsky flees Ukraine once again. Yep. These people are evil, corrupt individuals that would sell out their own mothers. Yeah. Look at what Hunter Biden is. Joe Biden made him that and uses him as some vessel to squeeze resources out of his public career. Evil. Yeah. It's just so despicable.
It is, man. Where were you, Kevin, when in 2015, when this was kind of transitioning into the Trump years?
Right.
Like, what was it like? Were you in Hollywood at the time?
Yeah. We left about 5 years ago, so I was definitely still there.
Were you like into politics? Were you pretty?
I've always been in politics.
And then what was your vision of what was happening through the Obama administration in the second term, and then into the Trump years?
It was interesting because I lived way out of Hollywood. I've never been a Hollywood guy. I like the industry. I like making movies and TV shows. I love the creative process of it, but I never really fit into Hollywood because I'm not the ass kisser that you need to be in that industry. And I didn't really see it until I did these charity golf events. That's when you see it, because 80% of the actors there were obviously Obama supporters. And, the bashing was going on, but I was one who always questioning if they say something negative about the Republicans. And I go, well, what about what Obama's doing? And it was, I didn't like tread a fine line, because by then I was already kicked out of Hollywood. They knew where I stood. I just did a charity golf event for Joe Namath up in Long Island last week, and the actor, I'm not going to mention his name, but he's very, very far left. Nice guy, but he was having a hard time golfing with me just because I'm not far left. And it's interesting. It's so weird because I don't harbor that kind of anger. I don't. To me, it's like, dude, let's have a conversation about it. I'm not going to try to change your mind, but let's have a real conversation. And it's difficult to get that from the left because they feel if they yell louder at you that they're correct. That's the weird thing.
Also, it's a charity golf tournament. Do you have to even have the conversation? Yeah. Just go be polite to one another and move on with your life.
Yeah. I asked him if I got a movie coming up in October, and that I directed a beautiful movie. It's called Miracle in East Texas. Please check it out. It's miracleeasttexas.com. And it's a wonderful movie. It's a true story. And I asked him, hey, would you do an endorsement for it? And he goes, well, is it got like a faith message to it? I don't care, but then why ask that? Yeah. So like you brought up earlier, when people ask questions or they say something, their defense like, well, he's Epps isn't working for us. Well, we didn't say that he was. Why are you defending yourself with that? So it makes you wonder about what they're saying. So I had a hard time getting him to want to even give an endorsement for my movie, and we're in the same industry. And I said, look, I got a wonderful cast with John Ratzenberger, Lou Gossett Jr., Tyler Mane. It's a wonderful true story. It's won 10 film festivals. Yeah. So I was telling people right now, please go. I got to get my plug-in for it. Go to sorbostudios.com, actually. There it is.
We got it pulled up. Tell us about it. What's going on?
It's a true story set in 1930, and it's about the largest oil find in the history of the world. True story. It was about two con men played by myself, and there's John Ratzenberger just to the other side of me there, next to Lou Gossett. And they would go through Oklahoma and Texas, wooing widows out of their money on fake oil wells.
Wow.
They would sell 500% of the shares, declare a dry hole going on the next city. They get down to Texas in the Kilgore area. They strike oil by accident, largest oil find in the history of the world. I'm not giving anything away because it's a miracle in East Texas. There's other little miracles happen along the way, but it's won best romantic comedy, best faith film, family film, the judge's favorite. It's an amazing movie. We only got 2 days. It's a Fathom movie, and Fathom gets independent movies out there. We're on 750 screens, but we need people. If you buy tickets right now, sell this sucker out. We'll get more dates. It's a PG film. You can take your 6-year-old.
And I saw that it's got the pay it forward method too if you want to buy tickets for other people.
It's a wonderful, true story, and you'll laugh at it. It's just it's great, and it's really eventually it's how the Hunt family became so wealthy.
Hunt.
Really?
What family is the Hunt family?
The Hunt family. Well, they became very wealthy. The two Hunt brothers owned the Kansas City Chiefs since the 1980s.
So wait. These guys were ripping people off and accidentally were right.
They accidentally struck oil. And it was just, and my character wants to get the heck out of Dodge. John Ratzenberger looks just like the real guy in real life. His character, he wanted, Dad Everett was his name. He wanted to stay and said, look, we're going to bring oil in. Dude, we sell 500% of the shares. You can't have a 500% of the shares. And we ripped off all these other people now, these other cities. He goes, I'm an oil man. I'm going to do this. And of course, we get arrested. And it's during the court case, and all the widows come down to see us get hung, basically. It's just a very fun movie. Dan Gordon is the guy pictured just to my right as I face it. Dan Gordon wrote this. He's an Oscar-nominated writer. He wrote Hurricane for Denzel Washington.
I love that.
White Earp, Kevin Costner wrote 60 episodes of Highway to Heaven for Michael Landon.
Wow.
And that's my wife next to me. She's in the movie. She produces the movie with me, and it's a wonderful, wonderful family movie. So please, for all those fans that keep saying, please make more movies like this, I don't have $100 million advertising budget like the Avatars do. We need word of mouth more than anything else.
So 39 days till it comes out?
Yes.
What's the October 29th?
October 29th and 30th. And if we sell out these theaters, it's going pretty good right now. If we sell them out, we'll get more days. But this at least gets us in the theaters. And that's what Fathom is able to do for independent movies.
What's Fathom?
Fathom is a company that gets movies like mine, independent movies in theaters, documentaries, gives you 2 days. You got to get out there and really hit the pavement to do promotion work. I've already done probably 80 interviews in the last 3 weeks with another 80 to do before the thing comes out. So that's why I'm on the road right now doing it. They do a great job to get it out there, but it's up to me to do the promotional work, and I appreciate you guys giving me a plug for it because this movie is great for the whole family. You will love it, and it's a true story, which I absolutely love. All the music is 1930 or earlier. All the cars are 1930 or earlier.
How long is it?
One of the trains, it's about an hour and 45 minutes.
Oh, I love it. Under 2 hours.
Yes, it is. It's under
best
2
thing
hours.
ever.
Oh, right on.
And the train here is one of the 2 working trains in all of North America pre-1930.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
So we got to use the train, which is good production value.
What is it? Is it 30th a Saturday?
No, I think it's a Saturday Sunday, isn't it?
Oh, okay, even better.
Yeah.
Let me double check.
Anything under 2 hours.
Oh,
now
no,
is
it's
even more
Sunday, Monday.
exciting.
It's Sunday, Monday. So we get more days. Obviously, we'll get more time for it to get out there. But like I said, great movie. John Ratzenberger is awesome in it. Luke Gossett Jr., the guy in the beard in the far left, that's Tyler Mane. A lot of people that know WWF guys. He was a very famous wrestler back in the 80s and 90s, and he was Sabretooth in the X-Men movies, and he's Jason. And he's got that leather mask on. All the scary movies. He's about 6'10". He's just really big.
Nice.
He's a really big dude. And he was great in this. And as I told you, I love doing true stories. And this is just another really wonderful story and a wonderful Dan Gordon script.
Do you like acting or directing better?
I started directing back in Hercules by season 3. When I walked into Universal, I said, hey, I talked to Sam Raimi, who was our exec producer. I said,
Sam Raimi was the executive producer? I didn't know that.
Who did the Evil Deads, and he did all the first 2 Spider-Mans. And I said, I'm going to direct. He goes, okay. And I went, well, okay, thank you. I thought there'd be some kind of fight that I was kind of ready to go. But I started directing back then. I love to direct. I did another movie early this year called Left Behind, Rise of the Antichrist. Left Behind is based on the 80 million Left Behind books. It's written by Jerry Jenkins. Right now his son Dallas Jenkins is doing The Chosen, which went to the Fathom route as well. The Chosen's
doing really well.
Massive. And they raised all their money from people. They raised $30-40 million from people, so it's outside the Hollywood system. And I still, if you're going to give me a choice, I'd still love acting more. But I've got 4 of the movies in post-production right now. So I've been staying busy doing my own thing.
That you acted in or directed?
I directed one other one, but I acted in the other ones, and I got 2 documentaries that I produced that are coming out later this year as well.
We were talking about last night about The Disaster Artist movie with James Franco,
sure.
and James directed it and acted in it.
Right.
And how do you overcome as a director and an actor like the difficulty of not seeing yourself acting as you're directing? Like, how do you go back and watch the?
I trust usually. I have ADs that I love to use, and my wife is a very smart producer as well. I trust their opinions when I finish the scene. But I usually know I can find myself. I go, I'm acting right now. I'm not doing a very good job. But I like to work fast. I'm a believer in the way Clint Eastwood works. He shoots 8-hour days and makes Oscar-winning pictures. I don't go beyond. I make 12 hours tops. But you start working with these directors that do in the 16-hour days. You don't have to. There's a lot of wasted time on sets, as you know. I mean, there's just a lot.
It's a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah, but then it's like I'm like another AD in the set. What are we waiting for? What's going on? So I always want to work with people that work quick. I want a DP that knows his lighting. The DP we had here was great. We shot this in Canada actually, and I showed this movie to a group of people in Texas, and they go, "I know where that was." I said, "No, you don't."
I was literally just going to ask where, and he said,
That's the best.
So what? Once again, it's show business, not show. They got a bigger tax credit. They get a bit dollars more stronger up there. The 3,000-acre ranch that we shot in. Okay, if you're looking east, you're looking at the Rocky Mountains in downtown Calgary. You looking west, it looks like Texas. And that same location we shot at, Revenant was shot there with Leonardo DiCaprio. They shot Lonesome Dove there. Okay, they shot Open Range with Kevin Costner, and they shot Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven. It's good enough for Clint Eastwood. That location is good enough for Kevin Sorbo.
Pretty much.
Just got our tickets. Got our tickets.
You're a good man.
Got 10
Thank
tickets for us and the crew.
You are awesome.
Our
Thank
theater's
you.
got it. Our theater down the street.
Yeah, all you got to do is plug in your zip code, and right now you can. Thank you for that. I
They
appreciate
do
it.
all the theaters.
You'll love this movie. You'll love this movie. It's just a lot of fun. And make sure you stick around for the credits because the outtakes are hilarious. And there's one less thing that happens when all the credits roll that I added that I think you'll get a big laugh out of.
First.
Yeah.
The story sounds awesome. It sounds like a fun movie.
It's fun.
Right? I like the story idea. Fan of your work. But on top of that, we're dealing with an industry that kicked you out not for no reason other than your private personal life and beliefs.
Yep.
Even though you have the biggest show. I don't know. What
Hercules was the most watched show in the world by season 3. We're in 176 countries. Andromeda was in 150 countries, and the number one show in first run syndication in America.
So you are a superstar. You're making money for the industry, hands down. And they say no, you're not allowed to believe these things. So we're getting rid of that. We should support films like yours, so that we can tell that industry to. I'll refrain from swearing. To please leave us alone. Please leave.
But look at the movies they're putting out there right now. Disney's looking at $1 billion loss this year, more than $1 billion.
Out of 20,
I do movies that are in the $3 million range. I do movies that are fun. They're family. These are movies Hollywood used to do. Movies that had hope and love and laughter in it. You know?
We were talking about this. We talked about this last night. Groundhog Day. Masterpiece.
Great movie.
But what was the budget on that thing? Super low, right? I mean, it's just.
Oh, I can't imagine. They probably shot that for $15 million.
It's just good actors and comedians in this place.
Yeah.
And then
in 20 out of the top 20 movies that made the top 20 in the box office this year, 10 of them financially lost money. 10 of them were did not make enough
Indiana
money.
Jones is going to lose about
$800 million.
Yeah.
So
I tried watching it. It's just I'm sorry.
Well, they make the woman the big star again. They took away Indiana Jones from Indiana Jones, and that's what most of these movies are doing. Is this emasculation of men? It's just that women are the big badasses. The men are a bunch of losers.
And the sad thing is like when you say $100 million budget, that's actually the low end now. Like the ones
that was about that was a $280 million budget.
Yeah, the ones that all lost money, the ones that gambled on $200 to $250 million budgets. There was others that were more than that because COVID restrictions ended up setting people back a large period of time. So out of those top 5 movies, 4 were all $100 million movies that ended up making extreme amounts of money because they did good marketing. At the bottom end of that list, you have Sound of Freedom and 2 horror movies, all of which spent less than $16 million to make over $100 million.
Sound of Freedom was about $14.5 million budget. I saw the movie 3 years ago. Jim Caviezel and I had the same manager for years, so I saw the movie a while ago. They made it 5 years ago.
Yeah,
and that movie they had to buy it back from Disney because Disney sat and did nothing with it. So they needed to make $50 million to break even, and they did. And they made $175 million. It made more money than Indiana Jones,
and it's now made over $200 million.
You know what fueled that? Number one, Angel Studios. Angel Studios is being chosen. They go on. They got I don't know 100 million people that watch them, and they said support this movie, so they did. Hollywood came in and attacked the movie. So basically, Hollywood said, "Hey, we're not against child sex trafficking. We're for it. We're pedophiles." And I think it made people angry on the left side and the right side. There's plenty of people that are atheists, plenty of people that are the left. They don't want child sex trafficking either, so they went to the movie.
If there were some communists who made a movie,
yeah,
and they had conservative actors in that film, and they were trying to make the story of a young communist on an adventure, and it was a very ideological film, but they were super chill and being like, "Hey man, we don't want to judge you. We just want to, make a film." I'd have respect for that. Yeah. But it's worse. They're making over budget, bad movies, regurgitated movies, while telling you that you are not worthy to be in their presence. Yeah. So I say, screw them. We support people who are nice and who believe in good things. And so whether it's Sound of Freedom or Miracle in East Texas, these are the kind of movies I would much rather pay to see and pay extra to see and pay it forward for other people to see, simply to tell, I'm going to refrain from swearing, these jerks to shove off. If they were nice, I'd say, I'm sorry your movie didn't do well. But they are not nice people. They are mean and nasty people. So they don't deserve success.
Yeah. Well,
when you were getting you said you got kicked out of Hollywood, I put it in quotes.
I'm the first cancel culture before it became a term. Yes.
Did you get into an argument with the wrong producer one night or something?
No, I think it just came in. It was all on the internet. It was me posting stuff, just saying, "Hey, what about this? What about that? What do you mean about any kind of topic I would bring up and just say, well, why don't we look at the other side of the issue? Global warming. Why don't we look at the other side? There are a lot of scientists who say the complete opposite." I mean, to me, and that's just one example. So they said, we can't work with you anymore because I said, wow, because Hollywood, screams for tolerance. Be tolerant of the issues we're talking about, and they put these out there and people aren't tolerant because they said there are enough of it. People don't care, really. When I get called, I get called homophobic and it cracks me up. I've been in the business 40 years and I worked like a gay person on every set I've been on. You won't find one that says, oh my gosh, he was so mean to me and evil. I wasn't. They could come out now and say so because obviously you can go about 25 years later and make it up. But that never, ever happened. But Hollywood is just the way they are. And I said, fine. I walked away and said I formed Sorbo Studios. Go to sorbostudios.com. You'll see the amount of work that I've done, that my wife has done. It's, I'm going to keep doing the movies that make people talk about them in a positive way.
With none of the Hollywood funny accounting.
Have you been working with your wife for a long time?
Yeah, we actually met on the set of Hercules. She hates when I say this because every episode of Hercules they brought down a hot babe for me to work with. It was a great dating service for me. And then I met her at the end of season 4, and honest to God, it was like lightning strike. It was like that lightning strike you showed us earlier. I was like, boom, this is the one. And I had to wear her down. She says I don't date actors. She said, and I had long hair. Then she goes, I don't date people long hair. And I said, I'm making a good living with her right now. So, but it's we get along great. 25 years we've been married.
She's like a producer. She works mainly as a producer.
She's an actor too, producer. She's a writer. She's a homeschool advocate. I think I brought up. She's written 4 books on it, and she wrote a book called Words for Warriors, which is really hey, you need to fight to defend your position on what the attacks that the left has against the right, and so she's a brainiac. She was a biochemical engineering major at Duke. I wasn't. I went to college for a whole different reason.
Yeah, were you theater? Did you?
No, I double business major.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Is this the type of thing where what's going on right now because of the writers and actor strike? So you had to get a waiver, right, to do what's
I had to get a waiver just to even talk about this movie, even though we shot it a long time ago.
Yeah. Wow.
And I said they've never done that before. This is the first time they went after everything, but we got it pretty easily. You know what? The SAG has still been a great union for me. I got to say they've given out at least 150 waivers to other independent movies. So if you're independent of Hollywood, this is our movie. It's nothing to do with anybody in Hollywood. It's independent. It's independently funded. It's nothing to do. So we were able to get it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to talk about it here right now.
Wow. But they would stop you based on
crazy.
They wouldn't be able to talk about it. Yeah.
They used to go after stop current productions, the ones coming up. Now they're saying no, you can't even promote movie that was done.
That's why.
So why? For someone starting today, why join the union?
Well, you know what? They're gonna solve the issue. It'll be done. I don't know how much longer they can do it, but we get producers in Hollywood that are making $50 million a year. This guy came out. I can't remember which bozo it was. He said, "Well, I hope you actors starve and lose your houses."
Yeah,
there's a lot of actors that are living from month to month trying to get a gig, and for these guys to say that is pretty ridiculous.
But where's the union to protect people when they get fired from their jobs for their political views?
That's true. Yeah. That's a good question.
I mean, because if if they're doing right by you even now, when a network or a studio comes to you and says, because of your views, like Gina Carano, was she in the union? Is she in?
Sure.
Yeah.
They should
Gina.
immediately step in and be like, no, you're not doing this.
Because
this
they're
is
on the
not
same
a legitimate
side.
Yeah, they should, shouldn't they? But unfortunately, most of them are on the left of the side as well.
And if that's the case, I don't understand why someone would want to join the union.
Well, in Hollywood, it's really not as much about getting fired as about just not getting hired again, and that's not
exactly. So
because most people, if you look at the average salary of an actor, I think it's less than $20,000 a year. Well, if Tom Cruise is making $20 million, how many people had to make zero to average that down to $20,000 a year? You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of. I was very fortunate.
Like, what,
I never had to work
26%?
another job.
Then we have to displace that industry. We have to strip them of their centralized control over this. And I'm gonna go see your movie.
Thank you so much.
When you went out to Hollywood, did you just crush it immediately?
I worked. I already had the SAG card. The important thing is getting that Screen Actors Guild card. So during college, Minneapolis is home to headquarters to Target, 3M, Honeywell, Pillsbury, Best Buy.
A lot of ads.
So I did a lot of commercials during my college years. So I already had a very good commercial tape, and I had my Screen Actors card. So that already opened the door. I had no problem getting an agent. I shot over 150 commercials in my career. I never, ever had to bartend or wait tables. I was very lucky because most of my buddies were selling cars or bouncing or whatever. I didn't have to do that.
Did you do a lot of scripted stuff before Hercules?
No, just commercials. I mean, I did some talking commercials and stuff, but that gave me the freedom. And I didn't know anybody went out there. I was just, everybody's an actor, so it was easy to find out what acting classes to take. And I studied with 3 coaches over 6 years before I got Hercules. My last acting class was me, Brad Pitt, Matthew Perry, Scarlett Ross. I mean, Brad Pitt, I remember him coming in with his scene for Thelma and Louise. If you ever saw that movie, he's only in it 10 minutes.
Wow.
He just steals it. And the next thing I know, we're on a break in our acting class halfway through it, because back then Brad was like a chain smoker, and he's like, dude, I just got a movie. I got a movie called River Runs Through It with Robert Redford. Well, bye Brad. From then on, he was gone.
Amazing.
Do you think
And Matthew Perry, I remember him doing a scene in class. I go, Brad, this dude should be in a sitcom. Well, 2 years later, he's on Friends. So
do you think that when this all comes through, what do you think they'll end up like? Where does the strike fall? Do they end up acquiescing on?
I have no
AI?
idea, but there's got to be something in AI. There has to be. There's got to be some give in there. But it's because the thing is, this is a blessing for independent studios right now, independent filmmakers.
Absolutely.
Because Netflix and Amazon need to have new material every month. They need new stuff to keep their subscribers interested. So. This is a blessing for us. I'm sure we'll sell this to somebody.
We're going to go to Super Chats. So if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this YouTube channel, share the show with your friends, head over to timcast.com, click join us so you can hang out with the Discord community and talk with like-minded individuals. And as a member, you get access to the uncensored show, and you can even submit questions and call in and talk to us. But if you want to submit questions, you got to be a member of the Discord. So let's read what y'all have to say. Clint Torres, the first Super Chat, says, howdy, people. Howdy.
Hey, Clint.
There you go. All right. Dinglehopper says, a $5 tip of the hat to based K-Sorbs. When can we expect Pool Boy 3?
Oh, my gosh. I did a movie called Pool Boy, which is absolutely ridiculous. It was so funny. It was very much in the vein of like a Zucker film, Airplane, Naked Gun, and stuff like that. Yeah. And I did another one, too. We did a spoof on 300 called Meet the Spartans. And we opened #1 per screen average.
That movie.
It was
wow,
and it was
really funny movie.
It was directed by the epic movie, date movie, scary movie guys.
I love epic movie.
When I saw 300 in the theaters, I loved it. It was cool, but my whole mind was like, they should spoof this thing. There's this giant hole in the middle of Sparta, and dogs and kids are falling in and dying every day. So when they called me up a month later, I said, dude, don't even tell me my role. I'm there.
So good.
All right. Dakota Stanton says, Kevin, do you think Andromeda got a fair shake?
No, I don't think it did. I mean, it's the first show Gene Roddenberry wrote after Star Trek. I think the biggest mistake, we were 5-year run, would have been 7, but Tribune Company at the time owned us. I don't know if you guys remember, maybe too young. In 2005, our last year, Tribune Company that owns us in Chicago went into bankruptcy.
Yeah.
So they had to sell off they had to freeze all their assets. And unfortunately, we were one of them, even though we were the #1 show in first in syndication. Should have had 2 more years. My biggest fight with them is it should be called Star Trek, Andromeda. Oh. Because you put the Star Trek just name on anything, it brings in more people. So I don't get invited. Here, I'm the first captain, Captain Dylan. After Captain Kirk was created by Gene Roddenberry, I get invited to none of the Star Trek conventions.
But it wasn't actually Star Trek. It was like...
It was Gene Roddenberry wrote it.
So it was effectively, but not Brandon.
It was thousands of years beyond Star Trek into the future. So my ship would have kicked Andromeda, kicked their ass. And I've done Comic-Cons with both Patrick Stewart and Shatner. I'm a foot taller than both of them. I told them at a con, I said, "You realize I'd kick both your asses."
You're the real captain.
No freaking chance.
Right on. Let's grab some more.
What about Scott Bakula though?
Oh yeah,
He was in another one.
Yeah.
he was in the first. What was it? Star
Deep
Trek,
Deep Space Nine or
no, it was
something.
the original, whatever. It
No,
was.
he wasn't in Star Trek.
Not the
Next
original
Generation.
It was
He
the
wasn't
one
in-
that was about the original Enterprise, Star Trek Enterprise. I think
don't
it was
know.
called.
Maybe.
Star Trek Enterprise. Maybe.
What do you got?
Let's read more. Dr. Jester says, Tim is right. We must create culture. I wrote a book called Brotherhood of the Revenants on Amazon. Solomon Kane, WH-40K, and Lovecraft with real 1066 AD England history, weather and time machine matching too. He says he got a YouTube as well, at Dr. Jester. Shout out to those creating culture, which is also why y'all should look up right now miracleineasttexas.com and search for your theater where it's playing, buy tickets and go see it.
Please do.
I have a general, well, how do you phrase this? Loathing for Hollywood, just for a lot of reasons. We were talking about this the other night, like where are all the good movies? Joker was the one we came up with right away. And now that we have Brett here, we could probably ask Brett. We were asking, name like a real masterpiece of a film that you think is really good that people will remember. And I'm like, Groundhog Day is a masterpiece, but what do we have like that? And then we were like, Joker was really good. Joker was incredible.
Pretty intense.
The problem is most of the movies that come out, like my main way of judging a movie now is like, would I watch it again? Like that's
right,
the real way.
right.
And most of them, the answer is no. I didn't find any of the movies that came out this year to be particularly awful. I just found them, for the most part, to be very forgettable and average, which isn't always awful. Like for me, a lot of it is like going to the theater, right? The ability to go to a theater and be enthralled in the experience as you're watching it. That's big for me. So I give a lot more leeway.
But in since 2010, right? Has there been a movie where you're like, that's Groundhog Day level? You know what I mean?
Since 2010.
Or maybe since then,
there was a couple that Clint Eastwood. I liked American Sniper. I thought that was an unbelievable movie.
Sound of Freedom, obviously. That Sound of Freedom was really good, and the intro, I'm just like, it's genuinely really, really good. The beginning I guess everyone's seen it at this point with the father and going to his kids, and like you actually see that narrative of how they steal children.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
Wow, and it's like in the movie Up. You get that first 10 minutes that's really, really good, where him and his wife and they grow up together. The whole thing, yeah. That was the best short film of my lifetime, but the rest of the movie is just garbled nonsense.
Most of my favorite movies are prior to 2010.
but with Sound of Freedom, that first 10 minutes is emotionally as jarring. It's watching that scene where the dad loses his kids, man. But let's read some more. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Tim, I don't know if souls are a real thing, but there's no doubt the fake sack-grown babies will not have one. If souls make us human, what will they be? Yeah, so the FDA was meeting, I believe it was today, to determine whether or not it is ethical to grow humans in bags. They're called biobags. And they're saying to start, what they would do is premature babies would be placed into these bags to be artificially, gestated until they're healthy. And then eventually we would just grow babies in bags. I think it's nightmarishly dystopian.
Wow. Yes, it's a little creepy. Very creepy.
I think they'll still have souls.
Yes.
Thomas Sidebottom says, would you kindly shout out my new son, Peter Robert? He's on his 6th day in this world, and I'm on my 4th hour of sleep in that time, but I wouldn't trade him for the world. To borrow a phrase, forward the line. Congratulations, good sir Thomas Sidebottom, and shout out to the newly birthed Peter Robert. Welcome to Earth.
Nice job.
By the fireside says, Oliver Anthony needs a booking agent. He just moved a show to a bigger venue a day earlier due to high ticket sales. Now on a Thursday, many fans are asking for refunds since they can't attend.
So speaking of books, can I plug mine?
Yeah, I should.
What is it?
It's called the Test of Linehood. Okay, I don't know if you guys remember when Kirk Cameron came out with his book and people were bashing him to go to libraries, wouldn't let him come in to read his book.
Yeah,
because they'd rather have drag queens read it to 7 and 8-year-old kids, and his book was just a nice little kid's book. My book deals with what I've seen been going on for a long time: this emasculation of men in movies and television shows. You look at all the sitcoms through the decades. The dad's always kind of fat and out of shape. The mom's a babe. The teenage kids just make fun of dad. He's a pincushion for everybody.
Simpson.
Well, that's a perfect example. Yeah. But I can name other real shows, real actors. I'm not going to name. I'm not going to name
King of Queens.
But But no, it's out there, and movies always portray men as wimps. Like, women now are the ones that are the big superstars, the superheroes. They save the day. The men can't do anything, and this book really is about letting boys be boys in the world we live in today. Stop telling boys that they help them become men, strong fathers down the road. And this book doesn't bash any race or gender. It's just a movie. It's just a book about a lion cub named Lucas that goes into the woods with his two little sisters. They're playing out there all the time. His little sister gets cut by a very poisonous plant that he knows about. He can't get back to his dad in time because he knows that his sister's going to die. He's got to get past his insecurities and his fear and find courage to go up the mountain and get this one flower that will save her life. It's just a great kids movie. Go to bravebooks.com, bravebooks.com. They do wonderful movies for 4 to 12-year-olds.
I do believe that's why Top Gun Maverick resonated with so many people, because it had been so long since anybody had seen. It's like at the end of the movie, it's like the guy gets the girl and drives off into the sunset on a motorcycle. It's like, welcome back to the 80s. This rules.
And it did so well.
Yeah, and it did unbelievable.
It was a number one movie that year.
And actually, what didn't do well was Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, but that movie was also 20 minutes too long.
Well, I got to give Tom Cruise credit. It was too long, but I mean, he a lot of the movies he does, you kind of got to go. Maybe he's left leaning. I don't know, but he doesn't. He keeps a pretty even keel and puts out really good, entertaining.
And in that movie did exactly what
Jack Reacher, great movie.
I was going to say, not just him, but the TV show Reacher from 2021.
Really good. That guy's great.
Was unbelievably good.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons why I liked Dead Reckoning so much is it did exactly what Indiana Jones failed to do, which was introduce a female character played by Haley Atwell that is actually incorporated into the movie really, really well without emasculating his character.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, let's read some more. We got T-Rex Pet Shop. He says, mind if we join you in anti-Times Square? I've been thinking of putting a pet vending machine there and eventually open a full store if it goes well. Please do. The opportunity is readily available for our public square, if that's what we end up calling it. And you're all welcome to join us in Martinsburg, West Virginia. That's where we'll be headed. And hopefully it works out. Justin Hutter says, I named my character Seamus in Starfield. Suddenly my inventory was full of stolen utensils. Conspiracy? What you see the Starfield video with the potatoes? There's a video that went viral where they were showing the physics, and a guy opens a door and a bunch of potatoes fall out because they were like, look how amazing the physics in this game are. I'm still playing Baldur's Gate 3. I'm having a blast. It's a fun game.
Do you get into video games much?
I do not. My kids do.
Yeah, it's like the
big time.
The conflicts of movies and video games are coming together where you're going to be like the main character in a VR.
They make more money than movies do.
Yep. Also, if you're looking for a good movie that did come out this year, the movie Gran Turismo was really, really, really good. And you don't see a lot of sports movies these days. So that was actually...
I know of it, haven't seen it.
Yeah, it was very, very good. I would recommend people take a chance and go see that one.
All right. Craig Comedy says, I started a food vending business in Gold Dam Brewing. Kevin was a silent partner in the brewery. Also, resume sent.
It's true.
Right on. We've got a lot of super chats where they're just people saying that they absolutely love you. Grofty says, you're a childhood hero and you always will be.
Very kind.
Man, I was saying before the show, I'm a little kid. I would turn on Saturday morning cartoons.
You were. This one makes me old. You were 7 when we started filming.
Yeah,
you were 7 years old.
So I would turn on what was I watching when I was like 8 or 9? Static Shock and Pokemon. But then Sunday they wouldn't have cartoons. Hercules would be playing. So then I just wake up in the morning. It's the weekend, and I'd be watching Hercules. Very cool. Oh, you know what I loved?
Go ahead.
I was going to say Outer Limits when I was a little kid.
Oh, I loved Outer Limits. Freaked me out. When I was in college, it was 10:30 was reruns of Twilight Zone. 11 o'clock was the reruns of Star Trek. So if my parents called me around the time, I'm busy. I'm studying really hard right now. I go. But that was like a big thing for me to do, and I absolutely I loved it, those days, and I loved being a part of this Star Trek family. I got to tell you, it was awesome.
Dude, sci-fi.
Yeah.
We gotta do a sci-fi.
Also,
thing.
is it true that you were a runner-up to play Superman?
Dean Cain. Here's the thing. I originally got the role.
Oh my goodness!
24 hours later, they called me up
and gave it to Dean.
They gave it to Dean.
Dean Cain stole your role.
But here's the thing. So 3 months later, I got the Hercules role.
There you go.
So I like to tell Dean, my show in 7 years became the most watched show in the world. Your show got canned after 3 seasons. So I'm pretty happy.
He just
it worked out just fine.
It's like everyone remembers Smallville.
Dean's a great guy. I've known Dean a long time.
Lois and Clark, that show.
Yeah.
Lois and Clark.
Epic.
Yeah.
epic. And the girl Terry Hatcher.
She played my wife. We did a 3-show arc on Supergirl about 5 years ago.
I still
She played
can't
my
believe
wife.
that they had you on Supergirl given the political stuff.
You know what was interesting? The one of the producers, 30-year-old producer, she says, "Now your character, Kevin, is the most evil person in the universe. Think Donald Trump." And I went. Okay, so you probably know more than I do, but so is Trump more? I mean, has he killed more people like than Hitler? I'm just curious. Maybe you know more about history than I do. Is he worse than Pol Pot or worse than
She's
you
like,
know, Stalin? I started naming those people. I just kept waiting, and she's kind of glared at me.
And they kept you on.
She found out later that where I stood pretty quickly, and then
She's got a Karl Marx
She was
poster behind her.
fearful of me the rest of the time because I'm kryptonite to Hollywood.
Well, how did you end up getting that role, though?
I have no idea. They just called me up and said, "We want you for this role." Who knows?
I think money talks. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so one of the issues is
They know that they're going to get more eyeballs on it if I'm on it.
bang.
That
That bringing you in on this show is going to get all the millennials and everyone to be like, yo, and they needed that.
Yeah.
This is my point about building culture. All of these people who act like they're woke and they support these causes, they don't care. They're just saying whatever they think they need to say, especially in Hollywood, so they can get the roles and fit in. We take that power away. We buy tickets to your movie. We go see Sound of Freedom. Eventually, these people will stop talking.
Can I tell you that every movie I've been doing over the last 6-7 years, I get, whether it's an actor, a camera guy, lighting guy, come up and say quietly, like a drug deal's going on, and say, "Dude, thanks for being a voice for us." And I say, "Be a voice for yourself."
Yes.
This is the problem. Well, I don't want to get blacklisted like you. You know what? They're not calling me for big movies anymore, but I'm still doing independent movies. Here you are on the set of my movie. So you still work, but you're right. Hollywood will never call me in again for anything big on TV or movies, which is fine. Movies.
How do they think Hollywood got started? Do they think that Hollywood was started by guys who are on the East
Hollywood
Coast?
was very conservative when it first started. The Warner Brothers, Warner Movie Studio, totally conservative.
But it's not just that; it's that they were bucking the system. It's that they were excised. They went to the far reaches, the middle of nowhere, where they could do the work they wanted to do. The idea that there are people who are saying, "I want to suckle the teat of the gigantic, decrepit machine," instead of saying, "I would rather get on a boat, travel for 3 months with a 20% chance of dying on the way there to land on a barren shore and build a house in the middle of the woods than live in your crackpot town." Those are the pioneers who came to this country. That means if you want to fight for what you believe in, they should be saying, "I'd rather work for you and get paid less than work for Hollywood because they suck."
Yeah.
Let's get it.
Are you
go
happier?
go see Miracle in East Texas.
Are you happier since you went independent?
Oh, heck yeah. I love the movies I'm doing right now. I never, I've been there a long time. Look, I had huge success with Hercules and Andromeda, 2 huge shows. And then I had about 5 years of doing movies within the Hollywood system. And then when this happened, I said, fine. I know enough people in the business. I got a lot of, I can shoot anywhere in America. I can put a crew together. So I have no problem with that.
What is this? Let's read some more. Hadro says, "Hey Tim, Fallout 3 remaster is confirmed. Is that true? Oh wow, Oblivion and Fallout 3 remaster, IGN. Oh wow, I'm super excited for that.
I want Morrowind remaster.
I mean, I don't care about the graphics. The game is awesome, but it depends on what they do with the remaster. I don't like Mothership Zeta though. Was that what it was called? The expansion in Fallout. I didn't care for the aliens.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know the name of it.
Yeah. Nolan Buzz says, "Will they arrest the DC Metro Police who were in plain clothes chanting 'Go, go, go'?" Body camera footage. Rep Higgins said there were feds dressed in MAGA gear pre-staged inside the Capitol before it was breached. Wow, what a representative said that. I know about the cops saying "Go, go, go" and things like that. Yep. Bender the Offender says, "Tim, do you think wages will ever catch up to the rates of inflation?" No.
It depends. If we transition to a hydrogen-based fuel economy, we might be able to balance things out.
I mean, no. If it is good if we implement newer and better forms of technology, fusion, hydrogen cell, whatever.
Fuel good fuel.
But that's not going to change that the Fed is going to break it to extract from it so that they can wage war. It is what it is. All right, Jimmy Joe says, "Kevin, I've worked 25 plus years in showbiz. I've had to keep my head down and my mouth shut all this time. Where can I send a resume?"
SorboStudios.com. SorboStudios.com. Check it out.
Here's what happens. Okay, when Miracle in East Texas sells out in every theater, and Sorbo Studios makes a ton of fat, cold, hard cash, they start hiring all of you bringing you into new movies, expanding the business, and then Hollywood starts crying, saying, "Oh no, why did we ever get rid of this guy? He's a superstar, and now we're losing money." And then we tell them, "You're dicks. We're not gonna do business with you anymore." There you go. That's how you win.
That. I'm getting hit up here a lot. A lot of people that like me and follow you.
Oh, right on, man. I'm glad to hear
This
it.
guy right here caught you in Timcast tonight. Great show. You've got a great voice for Christian conservative content. God has gifted you to be a mouthpiece for His kingdom. Hit me up if you need a place to film.
Is Miracle in East Texas? It is a faith film.
It's loosely based on faith, but it's not like it's like Blindside. You remember Blindside? People have, that was the movie with Sandra Bullock.
The football player
That's
guy.
in the news now because
it's in the news because he's saying now. But anyway, it was a movie that if you were a person of faith who wasn't a great faith family, a Christian family in Texas, took on that black kid. He went on to become the Hall of Fame football player. True story. So. People that have non-faith said no, that was a great football story. So it's in there, but it's not like a Better Believe in Jesus movie. It's a movie that everybody can see, and you'll just enjoy it for the true story that it is.
I mean,
and you'll laugh.
For that matter, I watched The Passion for the first time a couple months ago.
Pretty intense.
And I recommend it for a lot of people, especially if you're not religious, because of the historical.
Well, that's just it.
Right.
Every atheist that, I did a documentary with John Lennox. He's an apologist from Oxford University. I highly recommend it. It's called Against the Tide. He has debated all the great atheists of the world, from a Singer to Dawkins, Hitchens, all these guys. They don't deny that Jesus wasn't a man that lived on this world. They do not deny that. So the history is there. It's pretty fascinating.
For me, so I believe in God. I'm not a Christian. I watched this and I thought it was a great film. It's depicting actual history.
Yeah.
So I started looking these stories up. What was it, Barabbas the murderer? I'm probably getting the name wrong.
Yes.
And these things I should have learned when I went to Catholic school, and I was like,
where Pilate
wow.
said, which of these two people should I save? Which do you want crucified?
Yeah. And so I started looking up history books, and it was like, oh yeah, all that happened.
Yeah.
The Christians just believed Jesus was the Son of God. Outside of that, it's all true. And I'm like, oh wow. Like,
I'll tell you what. I do a trip every year to Israel. I host 80 people. If you want to go to Israel, and anybody out there, you could be a trip of a lifetime. It could be a bucket list thing. Go to sorboisraeltrip.com. That's sorboisraeltrip.com and check it out. You guys will it's an amazing journey into Israel. I've shot 2 documentaries there as well.
What do you do when you go there?
You see everything. I got 3 amazing guides that bring us along in 2 different buses, and it's just unbelievable the stuff you'll see. Oh, wow. I've been there 5 times now.
Let's read some more. What do we got? Let's see. Paponaya says, literally every day I have to manually search for this show. No cap. Wow. Well, that means it, That's how we know it's true. A lot of people, here's the crazy thing. It's one thing if you watch every night and it doesn't appear on your homepage, because it should. The algorithm should be like, hey, this is a show you like. But there are people who say that they'll go to our YouTube channel at the time of the show and it's not there, even though we are live, because we don't miss shows. However, there's also timcast.com. We always embed the player automatically on the top of the homepage, as well as Pop Culture Crisis. We got a couple new shows we're launching very soon. We got the skate show. We're going to be skating tomorrow and filming. And then we're doing a weird and wild conspiracy mystery and unsolved mystery show that's coming up soon. Really excited for that one. It was supposed to be a year ago, but man, anybody who's run a business where they had to do construction, they're probably sitting at home laughing, being like, this poor young guy, I thought he was going to build a studio and get it all done.
Especially
2 years later.
COVID, it's like we're in new territory. I can only imagine.
Yeah. What do we got? We got some super chats here. Dustin Weiser says, thank you for teaching us strength as Hercules and proving strength holding onto your convictions.
Very cool.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Let's see. Scott Jeffers says, I've heard Kevin say a few movies he's been in after he's been exposed as a conservative. Where can I find these movies and support?
Sorbo Israel Trip. I got that in my mind. SorboStudios.com. Everything's there. All my movies are there. You can get a signed copy from me if you want them from me. My books are there. I got True Strength and I got True Faith, 2 wonderful books, and then I got this one, of course. SorboStudios.com is a good place to go.
Were you raised in a religious family, or did you find?
I was. I've been kind of Christian all my life. I haven't led a perfect life. There's no doubt about that. And but I don't go out and say I'm better than anybody else. I'm just. It's always been part of me. I look at this and go, guys, who made this table, right? Somebody made it, right? Yeah, that's right. Somebody made it. It wasn't you, it wasn't me. It started somewhere. I don't have all the answers, but you look up at the stars and go, okay, guys, this didn't just happen. Something caused it to happen.
This table was 3 different pieces of wood that were brought in through, I think, the window.
Wow.
Because they're long.
Well, that's big.
Yep. And then it weighs like 1,000 pounds, I think.
I believe it.
Yeah. And I was like worried about the floor, and they're like, no, you're fine.
Something's causing it to happen right now.
That's
it's
right.
appearing.
It just appeared.
What is causing the vibrations or the fluctuations or the spin? I don't know what or why. But it's maybe
What's
there is
causing
some-
People don't realize how big the table is, because when you're watching from the cameras, you only see us.
Yeah.
And the cameras are showing you, and the cameras are zoomed in. So people will walk in the studio for the first time, and they go, whoa, it's huge. And I'm like, yeah, it's like, well, I huge.
It's got to be, what, 18 feet long or so? And
18 by 6.
yeah, no, that's a little
maybe-
more.
yeah,
18
maybe.
by 8, I think. That's big.
No, it's like 18 by 5, I think.
It
The
might be.
room.
No, that's more than 5.
Yeah,
5 feet?
yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's
like a whole wingspan.
But maybe, I don't think it's exactly 6 feet.
It's big, though.
It might be 6 feet. Yeah, it might be 6 by 18 or something.
It's meaty.
The room itself is, I think it's 35 by 16 or something like that.
That'd be about right.
Yeah, 35 by 16. I don't know. People come in, they're like, wow, it's so much bigger than I thought.
It's so much more gigantic.
What do we have here? Let's Terrence Mack says, Kevin touched my elbow once at Comic-Con in Montreal in 2007, and it was the best day of my life.
I remember that moment.
Have you found like your fans? Do you give them like a word of kindness and it can completely
Oh
change the
yeah,
direction?
when I do
of their-
Comic Cons, I love the fans. I mean, without fans, we don't got a career. And people have been so nice to me at these Comic Cons. And but here once again the cancel culture comes in, right? This woke stuff. I mean, I was supposed to do 2 Comic Cons in last November in Australia, and I've been there 3 times. And the Australian fans have been huge supporters, huge fans. I got banned to come there because they got 10 emails from fans saying if he shows up, we're going to riot.
Wow.
And I said, you have 50,000 people coming there.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about it. These people probably aren't even going to come to the con regardless. Yeah. And you're going to let them control me being able to come out and have a good time, and they did. They wouldn't let me come out.
Wow. Let's read one more. We got Vexkin Kilrog says, if I remember right, Andromeda was supposed to be set in the Star Trek universe. Is that true?
It was all I know is a Star Trek show created by Gene Roddenberry. It wasn't really in the Star Trek universe because it was supposed to be thousands of years into the. I think it was like 8,000 years beyond Star Trek.
But so theoretically, it is in the same.
Yeah, because it was Gene Roddenberry, so it was certainly part of it.
They could have.
Was it a legal thing? They couldn't use the name or something?
I think he just came up with a different name for a different show at that time. You know?
And I think too, it probably gave him contractual, Star Trek's probably got rights and ownership.
It was a huge mistake for Paramount to take that off. But back then, you only had 3 states. You had PBS, but you had ABC, CBS, and NBC. If you're not pulling in roughly 30%, they're getting 25% rating. Right. Nothing gets 25% today. Yeah. So there was a big mistake to get rid of that show.
All right, everybody, if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and head over to timcast.com to watch the members-only uncensored show, which will be up in a few minutes. And you, as members, you can submit questions, call into the show. It's going to be a lot of fun. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL. You can follow me personally at Timcast. Kevin, do you want to shout anything out?
Once again, SorboStudios.com for everything Kevin Sorbo. Go there, support movie. The Miracle in East Texas information is on there, and Brave Books is on there, and all my movies and books are on there. So SorboStudios.com, great place to go.
Right on.
Actually, before we go, I have to make a correction on something I said earlier. The Cardi B thing, I was wrong about. And she's actually sued someone for that before. So she is about being a hooker. Like that's not something that's been proven in court.
She was never
a hooker. So that was a misspeak on my part. There is her admitting to doing the drugging and robbing of men, but she was not a hooker. And so she actually won a lawsuit. So I have to make that.
Oh, wait. So in what context was she drugging and robbing men?
I could pull the story up right now, but I just want to say somebody had been sued for that before, so I apologize.
Didn't they do a movie about that?
I don't know. I don't know, but this is my mea culpa, so this is my fault.
But isn't Cardi B like saying good things about? Like, hasn't she been fairly based on certain issues?
I don't know.
Like maybe on vaccines or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, she's like defending people's rights and stuff.
I mean, Nicki
I got no beef.
Minaj was doing that.
was she?
But yeah, like, so that was a misspeak on my part. So I apologize. People were sending me messages about it because she won a lawsuit for like an extensive amount of money for that. So just
to make sure we're clear that she wasn't selling her body, she was just drugging and robbing guys.
I misspoke, so I do apologize. So that is my fault, guys. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Twix at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms.
You don't have to worry about it because the actual malice standard applies.
No,
you have to, in order to defame somebody who's a public figure, you have to knowingly have lied about them. And if people are reading these stories, we mean no ill will. But
yes, I misspoke. But also, Pop Culture Crisis is here Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is noon Pacific. Join us right here on YouTube, guys.
And I got to get my Twitter in there, K-Sorbs. Go to K-Sorbs, K-S-O-R-B-S, because Facebook took me down. But I'm very funny with my sarcastic truth on Twitter, on X.
I'm Ian Crossland. Great to meet you, Kevin. Awesome night.
Pleasure.
Wonderful to hear about your career and talk about the industry, man. I love hearing about it.
Thank you.
You guys can follow me at Ian Crossland anywhere on the internet. There it is behind me. And check out at timcast.com. Go over on the left down to Cast Castle Vlog. Check out the most recent episode. Raymond G. Kami Jr. I'll say that again. Raymond G. Kami Jr. That's the name of the episode. Check it out. Carter Banks, talk us out.
What's up, guys? Kevin, it was a pleasure having you on.
Thank you, sir.
Feel like I just watched the whole show just right here with pressing buttons in real time. Enjoy filling in for Serge. You can follow me at Carter Banks on Twitter. Follow Timcast Music at Timcast Songs on YouTube. And that's all I got for now.
All right, everybody. We will see you all over at timcast.com for the members only show. Thanks for hanging out.